April 14th meeting of the Development Government Relations Subcommittee to the Holyoke City Council. We have a short but an important agenda tonight. With us on the committee are Peter Tallman, Michael Sullivan, Howard Graney Jr. Also with us is Joseph McGivern and Councilor and Acting Mayor Terry Murphy. Welcome all. Let's go right to it. Why don't we take get a motion to take 2 and 3 off the agenda?
Motion to take items 2 and 3 off the agenda.
I'll second it.
A second to remove 2 and 3 from the table. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 2, the FY21 spreadsheet for the community development block grants. Item 3, community development FY21 CDBG proposal summary. And fortunately, we have with us the head of the Office of Community Development, Alicia Zeller. Alicia, welcome. Unmute yourself, please. If you have already. Good
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So Alicia, I'm gonna as we do, we're gonna turn this over to you for a rundown and then just a refresher as to the non-public service and the public service.
Yep.
And then if you could give a summary of the proposals, and then the committee can sort of digest that, and we can proceed accordingly. Okay.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. It's nice to see everyone. I will just say that I'm just so proud of how things have been going at City Hall over the last month. I feel like, you know, we're sort of moving forward. The annual plan is ready to be submitted to HUD by May 5th. So we'll work with Acting Mayor Murphy over the next couple of weeks to finalize the numbers based on all of the recommendations that have come in so far from the staff, from the Citizens Advisory Committee, who met twice to review the proposals. Former Mayor Morris had made his initial recommendations. And I will say that for the first time in many, many, many years since I've been here, we did receive a series of public comments about some of the proposals, and you have copies of those.
So Alicia, yes, I think that's important to point out, because I was reading through the comments earlier, and I have to say, I'm not going to print it all out because it's 23 pages, but it was nice to see some feedback from the public, and they're really earnest comments. And then before we get too far, why don't you do you have the list of the members of the Citizens Advisory Committee?
I can tell you who they are. It's Kate Kruckemeyer, Albert Bowler, Nelson Lopez, Jose Roman, Nancy Gentile. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. I think that's it. I think there's 5 this year.
Okay. The only name I don't recognize is Nancy Gentile. Is she new or?
No, Nancy's been around for a number of years.
Oh, okay. I apologize to Nancy. So let me thank Ms. Kruckemeyer, Mr. Bowler, Mr. Lopez, and Mr. Ramon.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Ramon. Yeah, it's pretty. I'm a pretty good stenographer.
So what I've done, and so I just want to say too that even though we're doing this, we've been doing these processes entirely virtually with virtual applications and virtual comment periods and all electronic, we probably have better public involvement than we ever have, which has been interesting. So instead of asking folks to show up at 5 p.m., the 4th floor City Hall Annex, we've provided alternate methods of communication and interaction. And I feel like it's worked really well over the past 10 months, both for this process as well as for the COVID funds. So what I have done is I've got this set up so that I can share the spreadsheet with you and we can walk through it. We've used this format before in council chambers. We've used it online like this with the CAC, and it's worked really well. So I'm hoping you'll bear with me. I'm going to share my screens. And can you all see the spreadsheet? Can you all see it?
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
okay.
I can see it now.
Okay, great. And I apologize for the weird angle. I'm working off 2 screens here, so I'm not looking at you all. I'm actually looking at the spreadsheet here. So in terms of our actual allocation this year, let me scroll down to the bottom. And we did receive word from HUD on the actual allocation. So the numbers that I'm going to show you are the allocations that HUD has actually already put out. So our annual allocation this year is $1,247,855. And when we break that out to the different categories, that means that our public services are at $187,178. Our maximum planning and admin allocation will be $249,571. And then all of those non-public service activities, we can do $811,106. So if I go back up to the top and we start and walk through the non-public service proposals. And what I'm going to do is I'll provide you a little bit of feedback on each one as to the status and where we're at and that sort of thing. So demolition, the request is for $100,000. So this first column is what was awarded in 2020. If there's an NR, that means there was no funding requested. So that was what the award was. And then this is the FY21 request that they've asked for this year. So we're asking for $100,000 for demolition, $72,000 for code enforcement. And I would note that originally our office was only recommending $36,000, but in discussions with Damien, we now understand that we're not sure if that position is going to be partially funded by the city. So we would recommend a full $72,000 in that line item. I talked to Damien this week. The Greater Springfield Habitat for Humanity is looking for $20,000, probably for soft costs for construction of a new single-family home at 484 Chestnut. They're actually going to be building 3 single-family homes in conjunction with the Housing Authority. One Holyoke CDC is looking to do $250,000 to the Neighborhood Improvement Program. That's for homeowner grants. They also are looking for $80,000 towards Hadley Village improvements spread across both owner-occupied and rental properties down off Canal Street. The DPW has 3 proposals. They're really heavy on infrastructure this year. They're seeking $350,000 for a Springdale Pond drainage improvement project, $200,000 for sanitary sewer and storm drain rehab in low and moderate income neighborhoods, and $35,000 to finish off the electrical work at Wisteriahurst. The Parks Department is looking to do improvements at Ingleside Park, as well as the handball court in Ward 2. The mental health. Yeah.
Alicia, would you just remind me where Ingleside Park is located, please?
Sure. Ingleside Park is located down on Main Street, almost in Jones Ferry. You may not even know it's a park. There's a stone wall against the sidewalk, and there's a set of stairs that go up. It's a grassy slope.
Oh, I know where it is. Oh,
yeah.
I just say it out loud for a lot of people. I know exactly where it is.
Okay.
But that helps me. So it's on. I guess you might call it the east side of Main Street. Is that fair to say?
I would call that the west side of Main Street.
West side of Main Street. East side is the river. Yep. West side is Main Street. Okay, west side of Main Street, and it's got that little stairwell, and we've had some issues there before, and this might be a. Did we fund that last year?
No. Nope. In my recollection, there hasn't been an application for Ingleside.
Okay, but we've had that park before us on other matters. Now I'm forgetting what it was, but maybe Terry will remind me. Okay, please go ahead. Sorry.
MHA, the Mental Health Association, was seeking $47,000 and change for improvements at their new Yale Street property. The Planning Department is seeking an additional $25,000 for lighting of the towers as part of the El Corazon Gateways project they're doing along Main Street. The Holyoke Health Center is seeking $100,000 to do renovations at 255 High Street. That's the old Solution CDC building that they purchased a few years ago.
Is that Attorney Moriarty's old building?
I've known it as the Solution CDC building. It's between the health center. It's between the health center and the Steiger building on High Street, right across from City Hall. It's red brick.
Yes. Okay. I thought that was Attorney Moriarty, but I'll stand corrected if that's the case. But
I believe you're right, David, on that one.
But the city and I think it was this committee, we approved the sale of that to them for $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
It just, to my friend, Councilor Tallman or Councilor McGivern, do you recall that to be true, gentlemen?
I recall a sale there. I think it's right next to Mass Surgical. And I think
It
was
is next to Mass Surgical.
Yeah, and it was an attorney office. I think Wilson might have been there at one time too.
Wasn't it the Moriarty?
Moriarty and Wilson.
I thought it was Attorney Moriarty. Okay, that makes sense. So
because he had 3 floors.
3 floors, and I thought we sold it to him for $5,000, expecting Holyoke Health Center to sort of move that along.
Yeah, they were going to blow a wall out and go into it.
Okay, sorry, Alicia. Proceed.
That's okay. Girls Inc. is in the process of moving their headquarters from Open Square, and they're going to be purchasing 480 Hampden Street, and they're looking for $200,000 for renovations, primarily for handicap access and installation of an elevator, I believe. The YM is looking for $60,000 in HVAC improvements, COVID-related type air conditioning and ventilation improvements. DPW is seeking $200,000 for sidewalks. The YWCA is seeking $11,000 for a security system for their teen parenting program. Our office was seeking $100,000 for the small business grant program. In conjunction with conversations that we had with Mr. Vega in the Office for Planning and Economic Development, they asked for some assistance doing facade improvement. So there's an application for my office for $50,000 for facade improvement. We submitted the application because the applications were due at the time of transition in the planning department, and we knew that that was one of their goals, so we wanted to get it in. Otherwise, they probably would have applied themselves. And then Serve Food LLC, which is a food business incubator, is seeking $30,500 as a business opportunity fund for people to access their commercial kitchen.
And what's their address?
They're on High Street. They're on the northern end of High Street. I don't know what their exact number is. Would you like me to go
City Hall?
Pardon?
Are they beyond City Hall?
They're north of City Hall.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. They're in the block close to Fernandez, but I believe they're on the east side of High Street.
Thank you.
Do you want me to start with public services, or do you all want to work on the non-public service activities right now?
Why don't you keep going?
Okay. So then coming up on our public services, we group them for you by category. So in the youth, we have the Eagle Eye Institute requesting $10,807 for an environmental education program in which they'll partner with several different groups in the city, like Boys and Girls Club, the public schools, Scouts, that sort of thing. Boys and Girls Club is seeking $15,000 for targeted literacy. Girls Inc. is seeking $15,000 for their girls programming. The Y is seeking $12,000 for the daycare center after school programming, Alternatives for Youth. Holyoke Safe Neighborhoods, in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office, is seeking $5,000 for their back to school event. The Homework House is seeking $15,000 for their after school tutoring. The Boy Scouts is seeking $63,900 for summer camp. The Boys and Girls Club is also seeking a career launch program, which is like paid internships for $8,000. In our elderly and handicap category, we have the Western Mass Elder Care seeking $45,000 for elderly and disabled meals programs. The care center.
Mr. Chair, could I just ask a quick question here?
Oh, yeah, Councilor Graney, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Alicia, would the senior center be eligible for any of these funds?
So the senior center would be eligible for the funds for their programming. And we actually have 2 contracts with them right now in the CDBG CV category to provide services to seniors.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So we're in touch with Neve pretty frequently.
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah, and just to the counselors, I cannot, unless you actually wave your hand or speak up, I can't move the cursor on my screen because I don't have control of the screen, and B, I can't click on participants in here, so I can't see that orange hand or whatever it's called, green hand or whatever it is, come up. So you're just gonna have to, you're probably just gonna have to speak up and just be recognized that way, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
In the employment and education category, we have the Care Center seeking $20,000 for Working for the Future. Spark, someone mentioned the Spark program earlier. They're seeking $40,000 for their entrepreneurship development program. Providence Ministries, Food Works with Kate's Kitchen, they withdrew their application because their program didn't run this year, so they haven't expended any of their FY20 funds, and we're going to try to work with them to move those FY20 funds forward. So rather than submitting a new application, we're going to continue to work with them on the funding that they had already received.
Thank you.
Salvation Army is seeking $20,000 to provide rent and utility assistance. Providence Ministries is seeking $30,000 for Laredo House, which is supportive housing, temporary supportive housing for men, and $30,000 for Margaret's Pantry. Women's Shelter Compañeras is seeking $19,744 for domestic violence services. The Chamber is seeking $13,200 for the farmers market. I will point out that they're one of the ones that submitted some pretty detailed comments about where they're at and why they're hoping to be funded for one more year. They feel like they finally got some market manager staff on board. They're doing great things. They're going to be relocating down towards gateway cities down on the canal. So that's looking really exciting. And that's news that we did not have at the time of these early recommendations.
So let me just interject here, because this is one of my all-time favorites. So, and this is just for historical purposes. So one is just the first time I have not seen this funded by the mayor in my career here, which is, I've only been on this committee for 8 years. I've only chaired it for 7 years, but I'm just saying, I've never seen it zeroed out by the mayor. Second historical point is this farmer's market has moved from Veterans Park to Chestnut Street to High Street. And then to my friends that are listening to this, the plan from the former mayor and the former OPED director, when they went through the gymnastics of getting money from Holyoke Housing Authority to buy the lot directly across the street, Dwight Street, and to build that little park next to the parking garage, the plan said on the microphone, not only can we have movies there, outdoor films, but we'll have the farmer's market in there. Haven't seen it. Proceed.
Let's see. My office submitted an application for $2,000 for community neighborhood cleanup. We offer neighborhood groups, ward organizations, the opportunity to work with our office and request a dumpster for neighborhood cleanups. So what we do is we go ahead and order the dumpster for them, have it dropped on a particular Saturday morning. They do their neighborhood cleanup, and then we pay the dumpster bill for them. We also have been working with neighborhood groups to buy trash bags or grabbers or gloves when they want to do sort of neighborhood type cleanup activities. I will say that we do have funds currently available. So if there's any neighborhood groups that are listening that want to schedule a spring cleanup, please feel free to reach out to the Office for Community Development and we can assist you with that. One Holyoke CDC is requesting $10,000 for their Keep It Clean initiatives. They're doing some activities a little broader than what we had proposed. Mass Care Housing is asking for $20,000 to continue to provide legal services to Holyoke residents around housing issues, housing discrimination issues. We're seeing more and more calls from households that are being evicted or facing challenges with housing related to COVID. Wayfinders is proposing or requesting $8,600 for their resident leadership program. You may remember they offered it in the city a few years ago. It was very successful. It was residents of the Chestnut Street neighborhoods. With Library Commons coming online with the new residents, Wayfinders is seeking to hold that programming again, introduce folks to civic organizations and working with the community and accessing resources and that kind of thing. And then finally, we have a proposal from my office for what we entitled Homeless Services for $65,000. This was in lieu of the Holyoke Police Department's application for the drop-in center. The police department did not get an application into us, but if the city is interested in continuing to fund the drop-off center or the drop-in center that the police department has been operating to assist folks that are on the streets, we certainly could fund it out of this activity. They use about $30,000 to $35,000 to run the drop-in center, and so if this was fully funded, then we would use the additional funds to make sure that we're able to do housing navigation with folks that we identify as currently unsheltered. Perhaps have a housing navigator point person to assist folks with getting their ID, their credit score, that sort of thing, to transition folks from the streets into some sort of housing, whether that be permanent supportive housing, working with our housing partners, that sort of thing. So you'll see that the police department did not submit a proposal, but we wanted to make sure that that drop-in center, the opportunity was there to continue it if the city so chose to fund it. So we had a total of $468,000 in requests, a little more than 468, and we're able to fund $187,178. And then finally, in the administration and planning category, we're able to allocate 20% of our annual grant to admin and planning activities, and that would be $249,571. And our budget request for this year is actually only going to be for $240,000.
Well, Alicia, I just want to point out here just two small things, and we'll let the committee sort of take it from the top. But for the public service, it looks like that was pretty much level funded. And then for the, go ahead.
So we actually received a little bit less in CDBG this year than last year. Maybe, I believe it was like $900 less. So when you look at the public service totals across the bottom, when the CAC and the mayor's office worked on their recommendations, we didn't have those final allocations. Now that we have them, we know that we only have $187,000 to spend in that category. We didn't have the final number when they worked on these recommendations. I did go back to the CAC and ask if they wanted to re-meet and shuffle the numbers and reduce it accordingly, and they opted not to.
Okay, and that variance is what, 2,000? I don't know, $2,500, something like that.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to come up with about $2,500 less than what's recommended by the mayor and the CAC.
Your total that you have to work with in that category is $187,000. It's shown here in yellow.
Yeah, 170. Yeah, I see that. Then I was just comparing that to FY20, which was 187.5. That's why I said it's kind of level funded.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was off by much. And then under non-public service, it seems like that award was 487, and now the budget is 811. FY20 it was 487, and now it's 811.
No, you know why those numbers are different is because we had projects that applied for funding last year and were funded, but don't show up this year on this spreadsheet. They didn't apply for funding. That's where that difference is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so in that one, so would you say this is pretty well level funded from last year?
It's pretty close. Yeah, let me, I can double check. Let me get my book for you.
And the requests are significantly higher than what we have. Okay. All right, well, she's looking for the book. Councilor Murphy, did you want to, since you're going to ultimately make the call on this, is there some things that, you just want us to go through our paces here, or?
Yeah, I'm just here to, I'll offer some comments on a few like Ingleside because I know about that, but I'm just going to listen. I've got a meeting with Alicia later this week, and
okay,
I want to hear the council's comments. So
okay.
So the other point that I would make is we didn't include any prior year funds on the spreadsheet. And the reason for that is at this point in the year when we're putting all of this together, we're not sure whether or not activities that are prior funded that are under contract are going to move forward or not. And so we don't want to put forward funding that may or may not be stalled until we're absolutely sure. So as of this week, and I'm going to take this to the problem property group on Thursday, but I have discussed it with Damien in the building department. As of this week, we have about $160,000 sitting in our code enforcement budget that's currently not being used because we haven't been able to attract a code enforcement candidate to be hired. And so it may be over the next couple of weeks that the final allocations here may be a little bit higher. We may have about 160,000 additional funds to put towards these activities. I can't commit to it tonight, but I just, in the interest of transparency, I just want to, put it out there that we may be asking that the building department go ahead and forfeit the FY19 and FY20 allocations, because that money is just sitting there and it's not being used and it's not being drawn on. We haven't been able to attract any candidates for that position. So I would recommend fully funding it for July 1st, but for the older funds, we may be looking to either reprogram them, or once we get absolute definitive word from all the departments that yes, we all agree that we need to just forfeit this money, we may be putting it in as a possible addition to the spreadsheet.
Okay, so if those funds are forfeited, then what does that mean exactly for this year?
So what it would mean is that if the department heads that are involved in the code enforcement program agree that we should go ahead and turn back the FY19 and FY20 funds, they will then be available to the city to put towards another project.
And how would, okay, would that come back to this committee, or would it just go directly to the mayor?
So I would suggest that the acting mayor simply add that 160 onto the spreadsheet. If the council wanted to do reprogramming, we certainly could start a reprogramming process and get those funds moving more quickly. But I was hoping that we would have all of the projects sort of identified where we're going to have excess funds and do it once in one sort of either reprogramming or adding it to the spreadsheet. Because I think there's going to be some other projects that are going to come in under budget, and we just don't want that money to sit there.
Okay, but when you say acting mayor added to the spreadsheet, what does that mean? It comes back to city council or not? Probably
not. Certainly, if the city council wanted to take another review, if you wanted to set a threshold that if it's less than 100,000, you would be okay with the mayor just adding it to the current spreadsheet. If you feel like you want to take another hard look at it, we can certainly do a reprogramming.
Terry, do you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, I am more than willing to. Well, first I would meet with Alicia, go over what the potential options are. I would be more than willing to bring it back to the council and DGR committee, get your input. I mean, obviously it's up to me to make a decision at that point, but I certainly am not trying to make unilateral decisions. I'm sure I'm going to make some decisions that aren't going to make people happy, but my goal is to make sure we are somewhat united in our efforts. So I would have no problem bringing it back to Council Department.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now I heard, I'm going to recognize Councilor Tallman first, and then I'll recognize Councilor McGivern second. Councilor Graney second. Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Alicia, I understand. I think we've done that before too on previous years with the reprogramming, and I think that's important that it comes back to us and we can send it on to the acting mayor, because some of these some of these funds that we may drop down a little bit tonight, we could utilize maybe fully fund if it's a certain amount. And I think that's a great idea, but I like to see it come back to the council and then bring it forward to the acting mayor to complete that. Thank you.
Councilor Graney?
Yeah, my question, is there a time frame for the rollover?
Alicia?
No, the funds at this point aren't at risk of expiring. And so what we could do is we could get this year rolling for July 1st. And then once we've closed out all of the activities, sort of midsummer, we can bring you back a reprogramming package.
Oh, that's good. Thanks.
Yep, we can absolutely do that.
Councilor Murphy has his hand up. Councilor Murphy.
So Alicia, so this money is out of the blight remediation, right? Is that what you said?
So it's out of, right now we're looking at the code enforcement program.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said 160, correct?
We think it's going to be about 160.
Okay. And I'm assuming therefore, since it came out of there, it would go into the various public service or public works projects that we're trying to do, right? And I'm assuming like I can put it in sidewalks or things like that.
So once it's freed from its current contract, that money can be put towards any non-public service activities. Okay. So any of our public works projects.
Okay, thank you.
And typically the way it's worked is that the department heads that are currently working, we kind of get together, put our heads together and see, you know, are there projects that are coming in over budget that might need some extra money? What else do we want to do in the city that we haven't been able to get funded? And then we'll put together a full package to you and bring it back. That's fine.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is my sister.
Do you want to start working through
non-public service?
Non-public service.
I sure do, and I'm all excited. I got my cursor to work again. So excited.
Okay.
All right. So
no cursing. No cursing.
Yeah. Thanks, Howie. Believe me, you should remind me more often.
So as we've done in the past, as you all decide to fund line items, you're going to see this zero here start to populate. I have the formula set up.
Oh, it's exciting.
Okay.
If the public only knew. Oh, this is a public meeting. Good. Okay. So let's see here. Members of the committee or not, or other counselors who want to speak up. But I think traditionally what we do, we just kind of go to the first one. We just kind of go, you know, right down the line. So why don't we, and then we can always double back if we have to. So I'll just say that demo of TDBD properties, 100,000 is recommended by everybody but CAC. The ex-mayor said 100,000. What does this committee say?
I'll make a recommendation to keep it at 100,000. I'm
going to second that. Under discussion? Hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Put 100,000, and we'll have one vote for the overall on this. So we'll okay. So this is just kind of a preliminary votes. Board of Health, Building Code Enforcement, Blight Remediation. It looks like everybody, including OCD, is on board with the 72,000.
Make a motion to make it 72,000 from the committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. On discussion? Hearing none, seeing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous so far. Greater Springfield Habitat for Humanity construction. Now, this is an intriguing project, and they requested $20,000. OCD, CAC, ex-mayor said Zippo. But Alicia, these are for soft costs. They're going to be affiliated with Holyoke Housing Authority, and they're going to build how many single-family homes?
3.
Wow, that is good news.
Yeah, good news.
Good news. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I'm getting a notice that Councilor McGivern raised his hand.
He did, and I see it right in front of me. Joe, I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
I can't see the hands now, so and you're off camera, but I can't. Now you're on camera. I can't see the hands.
Room,
okay.
So I'm kind of don't like my background, so I'm going to be in and out of the camera.
That's okay. Councilor McGivern is recognized.
Just a question through a chair to Alicia. I mean, I think we all are very much interested in Habitat for Humanity, but what's the thinking on this one? Why wouldn't that be funded?
Our departmental thought was that it's a worthwhile project. We certainly want to encourage homeownership. They do great projects. We've worked with them in the past, but we Really, we're focusing on, you'll see that we recommended fully funding the neighborhood improvement program. We have 114 households on the waiting list right now. And we felt like the 20,000 of CDBG that would go into that would be probably something that they could fundraise or seek other funders for. So it's certainly not a reflection of the quality of the proposal, the quality of the applicant. It really was recognizing that we have homeowners in the city that are absolutely in need right now. And certainly even more so after COVID.
As always, you have the best answer, and I concur with you. Thank you.
Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, also through the chair to Alicia. I think this also, there was something in CPA about this also. And I think that Habitat, hadn't they cut back on the number of houses they were going to try and do this year because of COVID or manpower?
So two issues with Habitat. One is a recruitment process. So they have to recruit the family before they start building. And sometimes recruitment proves challenging. And then the other piece is depending on the volunteer load and COVID and social distancing and all of that, they're probably going to do one house at a time. The overall project is 3 homes, but they'll probably do one at a time. I know they're actively recruiting now. So if we know of any families who would like to own their own home, please reach out to my office because they are actively recruiting. But that's the reason for the recommendation there.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, again, I'm very much in favor of this. As long as I know it's not going to hold them back, I probably go along with the cut. But I want to emphasize that this lot has been vacant on Jackson and Chestnut for about 30 years. And what they're talking about are 2 houses. And thank you, Alicia, for sending me the planning. There's 2 houses that look like they're going to be looking out onto Jackson Street at the park. And that was one of the thoughts, because people have complained about people in the park, but nobody sees them other than people walking by. But now that you're going to bring some more substance, they think there's a bit of support in the neighborhood to kind of control what's going on in that park. So it was going to be 2 on Jackson and 1 on Chestnut. I know the Housing Authority was about 1.5 years ago went in to buy the lot and develop a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. So. And Alicia, if there's any way that I can help get the word out that if people want to look for a home, we should get there, let me know, and we'll get something going on that, because
okay,
I really want to see this project go. I think it's got some stability for the entire neighborhood and stability and improvement for the park. So it's a combination of both home ownership and park safety. So thank you.
Councilor Graney.
Yeah, quickly, $20,000 is a great investment for the possibility of 3 homes. That's money well spent, believe me.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we could consider making a motion if they're not going to, as Alicia said, it sounds like they're going to do it in stages. And maybe if we, well, let me ask Alicia. Alicia, what if hypothetically we said $10,000? Would that help them for the 1 home or?
Absolutely. I believe the proposal is for one. This 20,000 is for 1 home. They're going to do 3 houses, but it's for one. It's for 1 house.
Okay.
The other piece, the other piece that I really encourage you to kind of keep in the back of your heads is I'm going to be coming back to you with more money. I know I am. So if you decide that you want to fund them now, so they know they have their allocation, and then reduce something else, and then decide that when I come back we can add more money to it, that's okay too. In the interest of being transparent, I am telling you, I'm coming back to you with more money. I'm going to have.
Thank you. Here's my just thought to the committee, if I may. I'm looking at El Corazon de Holyoke, and I'm thinking of putting a 0 on that, and then that would still leave us with $5,000 more that we could put towards, I don't know, something else, Hadley Village or the Ingleside Park. So I'm going to make a motion that we fund this at $20,000.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made and seconded to fund the single family home construction at 20,000, under discussion. Hearing and seeing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, unanimous. All right, 20,000 for that one.
So you have, Chairman, you have $619,106.
Oh, it's exciting. I love when you do that. That's my favorite part of this whole thing.
It's not in your pocket though, David.
It's not like it's not like
as far as you know, Councilor Murphy, it's not my pocket. As far as you know, but
I'm assuming. I make an assumption.
Okay, one Holyoke. I got my second COVID shot.
Ooh.
How you feeling?
Better than yesterday. I'll leave it there.
That's good to
I
hear.
had it Monday. Me and Dad. Dad, 86 years old, nothing. Fine.
Oh.
He said, what's your problem? Okay, one Holyoke CDC neighborhood improvement program. It's $150,000. We just heard from Alicia, there's 114 applicants on the wait list.
Make a motion to keep it at 150.
Second, Councilor Sullivan says recognized.
Yeah, I'd like to go with the full 250 that they requested. This program's been a tremendously successful program, and if we're gonna have any extra monies, I see some other places I'd like to cut, but I'd like to give them the full amount to work with.
Well, can I just make a suggestion, Mike, before I'll call for, is there a second on that? Okay, just because I would probably second it, but all I want to say is that to make a big leap like that, I mean, we can double back to these things, Mike, is my opinion. So when we get to things that can cut, so we can add on cut, if you will. We're just taking preliminary votes right now just to get us through this list. Okay. So I hear your argument, but I don't want to second now. So I'm going to say that motion fails. So the main motion is 150 by Councilor Tallman, seconded. Any further discussion?
Is there a limit on each house? Is there a dollar limit for each applicant?
Yes. So typically we offer up to 10,000 per homeowner. We have had circumstances where we've exceeded 10,000 because of something going on in the household. You know, the critical nature of the repairs, but typically it's 10,000.
Okay, so at 150, we're basically talking 15 homes. Okay.
Well, it depends, because sometimes a homeowner only needs $1,500 to make the project work.
Okay.
Well,
can you ballpark how many homes it would be affected by the 150?
So
typical year.
So the maximum, if everyone requested $10,000, obviously it would be 15 homes or so. I just ran some numbers. Actually, I put it on our Facebook page for National Community Development Week. Between 2016 and 2019, we did 92 housing units. I believe it was 92 housing units through the program. So we do about 30 a year. That's housing units. So we may get a 2-family in there, but.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion's been seconded for the 150. Any further discussion? Hearing the seeing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
I think I heard 2 votes.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have 3 votes now. Okay. Okay. Let's just make that one unanimous. Mike, is that okay? And then we'll come back to it. So we'll just check that box for now. All right. One Holyoke CDC Hadley Village improvements on Canal Street. The request is 80,000. The OCD said 0, CAC and the mayor concurred with 45,243. I did see some comments on that one, Alicia. What's our? I mean, it's in the comments. It sounds like something is going to be better than nothing. That's the way I read it. But so what? How did we get to 45,243?
That was the result of at the end when there were some dollars left over. The two folks that the 2 lines that recommended funding it, there was extra money. So that's how they ended up with such a weird amount. This is a project that I would really, we haven't had an opportunity to reach out to One Holyoke in the past few weeks, but this is a project that I'm really hoping to fund out of our revolving loan fund. We have a rental neighborhood improvement program that takes rolling applications. And I'm hoping that we have enough renters as opposed to owner occupants that we may be able to fund that activity out of our revolving loan fund. So that's why we recommended zero funding. And I really need to move the revolving loan funds. You know, those loans are getting paid every month and we don't have a lot of takers. So I'd like to put that 80,000 out of that fund as opposed to CDBG, regular CDBG.
And what's the balance of your revolving loan fund currently?
Right now it's about 300,000. And that fund provides up to 21,500 per rental unit for improvements.
All right. And Alicia, because I noticed that the CAC and the mayor they're about $11,100 over the 811. So we're gonna have to make an adjustment there too. Is that correct?
So you're gonna have $811,106 to work with.
Right, and the CAC and the mayor are 822,243. So if we just mirror them, we're gonna go over. So
you're gonna be over. So that's why like right now you have $469,106 to spend.
So what if we zero this out for now, based upon what OCD just told us? That gives us some flexibility for NIP, and it also gives us some flexibility about this overage. Would that be reasonable? I mean, I don't know. Is that reasonable?
I think.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I move that we zero it out.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to zero that out. Under discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so we'll zero that now, but you know, who knows? We'll come back to it.
Counselor, can I ask one question about the revolving fund that Alicia just talked about?
Councilor Murphy.
Alicia, so you're saying there's 300,000 and it's $21,000 per rental unit?
Yes.
21,500.
21,000.
21,500.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's the rental neighborhood improvement program. It's been around for decades. It provides low interest loans or grants to rental property owners. We can do up to 21,500 per unit. 51% of the occupants of a building must be low and moderate income according to the current CDBG guidelines. And because it's a revolving loan fund, we have a number of property owners who continue to pay their loans back. And so the money goes back into the program. In prior years, we've shifted some of the money out and into the neighborhood improvement program to the homeowner side. But right now we've got about 300,000 in there. And so I'm looking and really trying to market and find other ways to get folks to take that money. So that's the same program that we discussed a few weeks ago when we were meeting with Revitalize. And they've actually already reached out with some potential landlords. So
okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Lee. Thank you.
And we can do, you know, if counselors are in contact with landlords who are encountering lead paint issues or lead paint enforcement issues, we can fund lead paint abatement with it. If we have landlords who want to make energy efficient upgrades, new windows, new heating units, we certainly can do that. So yeah, there's a lot that can be done with it.
Can we, Alicia, at some point, would it be possible to get a communication like that to Mr. Lavelle at the gas and electric? And the reason I say that is because A, they do a lot of that internally at that department, and B, of course, they've got the power of communication at their fingertips. Everybody gets a bill from them, right? So, and everybody pays it too. That's one thing that they kind of stay on that. So if you would consider that, I think a simple email to Mr. Lavelle would probably, and Mrs. God, I know her maiden name, but I don't know her married. Do you think I would remember it? Well, Mayor Sullivan's daughter. So there you go. Just send it to her, okay?
Kate Sullivan. We'll send that over.
Yeah, Kate Sullivan. I'm sorry, Kate. I can't think of your married name. I apologize, but it's embarrassing. Okay. Department of Public Works section now. The Springdale Pond, I'm just going to read these three. Springdale Pond drainage. Looks like CAC went for the whole nut, but the mayor and OCD said 0. Sanitary sewer and storm drain rehab. OCD went for the whole 200,000, but CAC and the mayor said 0. And Wisteria-Hearst electrical upgrade, everybody agreed with $35,000.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Graney.
just a question. What in the world is the rationale for draining the Springdale Pond?
Alicia?
They're not draining it, sir. They are doing it's rehabilitation. They're not gonna drain it. It's actually rerouting it away from the treatment plant. Right now, the water that overflows from that pond in that area goes to the treatment plant, and the city engineer is hoping to separate that out so that we're not basically treating clean runoff water. Yeah, so they're not draining.
The way it's worded, you know, it's very confusing.
Okay.
Okay, I just said that explains it. That's fine.
Thank you, Councilor Graney.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, just a quick question for Alicia. You suggested the 200,000 for the sewer and storm drain. What would that entail?
So there are various places, mostly in the downtown area, where we're having infrastructure that's collapsing under roadways. There's places that have had metal plates in the road for 10, 15 years, particularly in the alleys. And so this proposal would address some of those concerns. We've not typically funded infrastructure work like drainage and sanitary sewer. And this year we were looking to fund projects that hadn't been previously funded, that would reduce the number of overall contracts and really give us a bang for the buck. So that's where that was at.
Okay, thank you.
Alicia,
Yeah.
quickly,
Councilor Graney?
could that work to help the West Lynn project that we've been waiting on for years?
The what project?
The West Glen Street drainage from the hill coming down on West Glen Street?
It
The
would.
rehabilitation?
The funding could be used if that neighborhood is low and moderate income, if it falls within our census tracts, and if it's not already funded. So we'd have to talk to the city engineer about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's funded or not. I'm just curious.
I think it's supposed to be done this year.
Yeah, Howie, I appreciate you bringing that up, but that's one thing that I didn't want to bother Councilor Murphy on that one, but he's well aware of it, and I'm hopeful he'll fund it. But B, I don't think that's within the census tracts for CDBG, so it might not make it for that reason.
All right, just curious, that's all.
Thank you.
The caveat that I would add is it'll be interesting when we get the new census data, because that's going to make us take another look at what areas are actually low and moderate income. So you never know when that new census data comes out.
Yeah, that's good. I don't have a particular point on any of these, but I don't know if remember the committee want to make a. I mean, we just funded Wisteria-Hearst with CPA funds, and I could have sworn it was for electrical upgrade. So I don't know why we're doing this again with those CDBG.
That's how I was going to ask that question. If that would that help pay for that, or is that already paid for the electrical?
I mean, I think it's paid for, Pete. I think we just.
I thought we did more on it. Yeah.
My understanding is this is going to complete the project.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. That was the last piece.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike,
yeah.
This is what's needed to complete the project, correct?
Okay, good, fair enough. That's all we need to hear.
I'll make a motion to award the 35,000 for Wisteria-Hearst electrical upgrade.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded for Wisteria-Hearst 35,000. Discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous for 35,000 for Wisteria-Hearst to complete the project. Okay, the other two, do you want to just sort of leave them on the table for now until we get down to the bottom?
You're at 434, 106.
Okay, I want to do that. Okay. Parks and Rec Department, Ingleside Park, $47,500. This has been a long time neglected park, and I don't think we've had any investment in this in my abridged time on this board. So I probably just support it. But what's your Councilor Sullivan?
Yeah, so quite through the chair, Alicia or Councilor Mayor Murphy, is that a official recognized city park, or is it just one that's been being maintained as one?
That's an excellent question, Councilor Sullivan. I do think it is an official city park, but I will check on that. But I'm not absolutely certain.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure there was a building on that site at one time.
It was a school. It was a school and then became a playground.
And became a playground, but I know there was some question about this before, and I don't think it was ever made an official city park. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is right now I know we still have to mow it and stuff, but I've never seen anybody using it. And we have Springdale Park a few hundred yards away, and we really need to, center our resources on maintaining what we got without adding more to the inventory right now.
If I can, Councilor Bartley.
Councilor Murphy, go ahead.
So, a couple of things, and I will agree. For a long time, I saw very few people using it, but I will say that there seems. I'm one of the old timers in the neighborhood, so. And when I got here, there were a lot of old timers in the neighborhood. Now there's a lot of young people coming, and I'm seeing more kids, and I'm seeing more kids going into the park. Number one, but just in terms of an appearance, if we're doing anything, and the walkway stair is a disability waiting to happen, and so that's one thing I definitely would like to see, at least the walkway to get to the park, because there are swings and a few other things there. And then the other aspect would be, if you notice, there's a lawn that has like a 45-degree angle that's off of Main Street, which I think right now serves as a detraction for people to go up and look at the park. And I know they are talking about doing. I have no problem. And as I saw this, I was thinking, could they do some of this for half of what they're getting and at least make it safer and more attractive from flowering trees, brush, whatever aspect, because right now it's an ugly situation and a dangerous situation. So those are my only two concerns there. And I will say, there are more people. It's nowhere near what Springdale gets. I just came by Springdale on my way, and there's probably 300 people out there. There are a lot of people in Springdale. So
question. I have a question.
Hold on, Councilor Graney. Councilor Solomon.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Murphy, you done?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Sullivan, you all set?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, Councilor Solomon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we brought this up a couple weeks ago, and I did go by that park a little while ago, about 2 months ago, and part of it, I talked to the DPW about the leaves that were there. I understand the steps are tough and the railings. I would like to see some money funded towards this. It's a beautiful park. I know up in the back there was, when I went up there to see it, there was a gentleman with his grandson, I believe, from Arthur Street, and there was more people utilizing that park than I think most people realize. It's a large area, a large grassy area, and there are some newer playground equipment there. And I think one of the things that was brought up either by Councilor Murphy, by somebody, that the way the benches are located, the sun is right in there. I mean, if somebody's sitting there with their grandkids, the sun's right on you all day long. So maybe adjusting them and maybe planting some trees. But I think the upkeep of it is important. I'd like to hear more on what Councilor Sullivan stated, is if it is a sanctioned park. But I think it can be utilized. I think it can be fixed up a little bit. I would probably make a motion to try to maybe at least put maybe 25,000 towards it to improve it a bit. So that's my comments. Thank you.
I'll probably second it. Councilor Graney.
Yeah, I was going to suggest 20 grand.
Okay. Okay. Well, you can split the baby, or one of you can make a motion. So.
Well, it's 25 or 20 is fine with me. If Pete thinks 25 is good, I'm okay with that.
I'll motion 25. It's a little bit more than half of the 47 for improvements.
Second.
Councilor Tallman, and his motion is 25 and seconded. On discussion, hearing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Handball court, Ward 2 Park. We didn't get anything for that one. Councilor Murphy, do you want to speak to that?
Well, obviously this has been, and actually Councilor Leahy had put it in order to try to do something with this maybe about a month ago. We've had some people petitioning for it. I will say we fixed up the basketball courts at Jackson Courts on Canal Street. We did do some repairs, but unfortunately, the way the repairs were done, we just did them to what was already there. And basically you can't have any handball tournaments. I will say, if it's something that can attract people, I would be inclined. I just would really like to see, I know they ran a tournament in Springdale maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and they had maybe about 15 people. And that was with the wall that is totally non-sanctioned. The theory is that if they did it, they would get more people. And at one time, there were a lot of people playing. Now, I don't know if they've stopped because we haven't had the same facilities or the same upkeep of the facility. I don't know that. So I'm kind of a little vague on which way to go with this.
Councilor Sullivan?
Through the chair to Alicia. I don't have my notes on the CPA, but was money approved through CPA that you know of for the handball courts?
Don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe if a member of the CPA committee is watching, maybe they can text Councilor Murphy or something on that. Councilor Tallman. Sorry, Councilor Murphy. If you're, go ahead. Sorry, you have the floor.
I'm sending a text to Kip right now. So.
You all set?
Yep.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman Bartley. I think about a couple months ago, didn't we have a group in for the handball? They were in New England.
We did.
They came in actually and helped fix up a couple of the courts. I think maybe the one by the high school, but I think part of it is at one time this was a big field. I think as Councilor Leahy stated, a lot of people thought it was mostly a Puerto Rican sport, but actually they said it started in Ireland. The Irish brought it over, and they're the ones that actually were playing it. I would like to see something put towards this if there's nothing already through CPA to put towards this, and I think it could bring people in from the area. I think it's a great sport. They do have it, I believe, at the Y. I know several people play handball at the Y, and I wouldn't have a problem maybe putting $15,000 or $20,000 towards the renovation of the handball court in that area, and maybe they'll even get some of the kids off the street. I think that'd be important. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Not only with that, I'd like to get that couple, the husband and wife team, to come before DGR and just kind of talk about their. I don't know if it was the organization or if it was a Hall of Fame committee or what. I just don't recall in my mind. But maybe Jeff, maybe our administrative assistant could sort of dig through the archives and get their. And I think there was a finance committee, Pete. There wasn't this committee. Yeah. But if the administrative assistant could send me a communication when he gets a chance on, he might have actually done that, but I misplaced it. I think he did. But if just resend it, I can reach out to them, and certainly we want to get them back. Well,
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Graney.
Yeah, just quickly, wasn't there a handball court at one time down by Rookies? Is that South Canal down by Rookies where the old Springdale pool was?
Yeah.
I remember there being a big cement handball wall down there. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Yeah, it is. It is, but this is to make the handball court it would be moved a little bit because right now it's so close to the basketball court. You got people playing basketball going off of one court and people handball going on the basketball court, and then also going into the road. So there were two questions in terms of safety, and also in terms of just trying to make it so that they would be a little farther away from the basketball court and block it off so that if the ball got off their handball court, that they wouldn't have to go out into the South Canal Street to get it.
Yeah,
you know what?
I remember, I mean,
go ahead.
I remember the kids in school they used to talk about decorating the facility down there, to use different decorations on it and things like that. But anyways, I'm certainly willing to I'd be in favor of spending some money on it.
Alicia, let me just recognize Councilor Sullivan first, and I'll get to you. Okay, Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this is the only request they have in. There is not one in front of CPA.
Thank you. Alicia?
I just wanted to point out that in the budget proposal, it's $25,000 for construction and $18,000 for materials. So anything less than $43,000 is unlikely to result in a project.
Well, let me just respond to that, because I was going to ask you a question, but I really appreciate that info. I was just thinking, just to the committee, that if we did allocate $18,000 for it, that perhaps the acting mayor, when we come to would this be eligible for reprogram funds, Alicia, or am I wrong? Yes. Okay, you're nodding yes.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking, sorry, if we allocated something towards it, and then when we have reprogram funds, perhaps the acting mayor, Councilor Murphy, could come back to us and say, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are. This is a balance we need, and we wouldn't have to take so much of the reprogram funds. That's all I'm thinking about. So, but anyway, so you heard what Alicia said. Alicia, sorry, to $25,000 for construction, $18,000 for materials. I could see a motion for $18,000, and then
come back.
Maybe get reprogram funds. We could see what happens.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve $18,000 for the handball court at Ward 2 Park.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to allocate $18,000 to the handball court in Ward 2. Under discussion, hearing and seeing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
None. Okay, 18,000 there. Okay. The Mental Health Association property improvements at I believe, is that 11 Yale Street, Alicia?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So yep. This was they Mental Health Association has requested 47 and change. OCD said 0, CAC said 0, the ex-mayor said 0.
I propose 0.
Second.
Motion made second to deny that request. On discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
David.
Aye. Opposed? Oh,
David.
I'm sorry. Somebody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Council Tallman, go ahead. I didn't.
Just a quick question on now to Alicia, Mr. Chairman. How does that fit into the CBG? I mean, funding wise, at that area, I'm just trying to figure out how does that figure into the block grant money.
That question actually has come up a couple times. We've been asked, and it's because the facility, it's a public facility, and it serves low and moderate income residents. So it's qualifying by the population that they're serving, the income levels of the population they're serving.
But they have, I mean, is it officially started serving them? Because when they made the application, there was nobody there yet, right?
Correct. And so we would not release funding to them until they had residents. If it was funded, we wouldn't release funding to them until they had residents in the property, and we would see, who's actually living there and would they qualify under CDBG. It also, it would qualify under CDBG as transitional housing. There's a number of ways that we could get it to qualify, but it was an application doesn't end up on the spreadsheet unless we're confident that it meets the CDBG regulations. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question, Council Tallman. Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Motion's been seconded to deny. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, unanimous. Okay, El Corazon de Holyoke, awarded in FY20 $120,000. Take a deep breath on that one. FY21 request 25,000. OCD said 0. CAC said 0. The ex-mayor said 25,000 to fully fund it. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, through the chair, Alicia, have they expended any of that 120,000 yet?
No, there's been no expenditures of the 120. However, there is a contractor in place. The department, the Office for Planning and Economic Development, does have a contract with a contractor. So I expect invoicing at any moment now.
Okay. That was my only question.
What's their deadline, Alicia?
Yeah,
So the non-public service activities, where we generally encourage them to be done by June 30th. So they're funded for July 1st, and then we want them done by June 30th. Depending on contracting, procurement, in light of COVID, some of the contracts have been extended. I believe their contract has now been extended to December 31st of this year.
Oh, who did that?
Who did that?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Oh, that's done by our office, and then the contract, the extension gets circulated. And I could get back to you. We have some contracts that are expiring on June 30th. We have some contracts that are expiring on December 31st. You know, it depends on the circumstances. We try to be as flexible as we can with our city departments. We recognize that sometimes procurement is a challenge. Projects come in overbid. Projects don't have bidders. We have staff changes. We have department head changes. There's a whole number of issues that come up that we extend contracts. So when we can, we do. Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Hold on, Councilor Green. I just got a hypothetical question. Would the acting mayor have authority to cancel the contract extension?
No, there wouldn't be any reason for it. We would go to the mayor and ask to have a contract canceled for cause. So if a department's not performing, if the activity isn't moving, if the activity goes out for bidding and it's far higher than what the contract was, but we don't just cancel contracts willy-nilly. I mean, it has to be for cause. That money was allocated through a public process. It was provided to a department through a public process. There was a contract executed. So no, we don't just cancel contracts.
Well, yeah, I appreciate your characterization willy-nilly. I don't think I implied that in any way. So let's just be clear about that, okay? But I was just asking a simple question. Councilor Graney.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, if there's $120,000 that's unspent, I don't understand why we should allocate another $25,000.
Well, that's going to be debated right this second. So does anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'd make a motion to zero that.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to zero it. Under discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Zero. Moving west. Let's see what we have here. That's on my Holyoke Health Center. I think it's 255 High Street renovations. The request is 100. OCD, CAC, and the mayor concurred with 0. Does anyone want to make a motion on that?
Motion to keep it at 0.
Second.
Motion made and second to keep it at 0. Under discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I guess it's 0. Girls Inc. Whoa. 480 Hampton Street. I know that address. 480 Hampton Street renovations. The request is 200. OCD and CAC said 0. The ex-mayor said 100,000. Alicia, why don't you tell us your rationale for putting that at 0?
Again, we are trying to direct money to where we think the need is greatest right now, which is those owner-occupied housing units. We also have a number of public works projects that aren't completed, and so we're trying to get those wrapped up with our agencies. And so we really were trying to focus on just doing fewer projects, doing them well, and getting them done. So.
Thank you. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, I would also just like to point out that we've got another property here that was paying taxes and would now be going to a nonprofit, and yet we'd be taking tax money to support the project.
Yeah, I think the assessed value in that building, which I'm gonna look up momentarily, or at least I'll have it if I can't do it now, was pretty significant. And having been in that building multiple times, it's quite a property. So I'm sure the sale price was not small, and so we're spending all this money for purchasing the building, but then we're never come back for the taxpayer, and we're saying we're taking off your tax rolls and give us federal dollars to the Commonwealth and the city. So I probably would agree with OCD and CAC myself, but that's me. Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion for 0.
I'll second
that. Any further discussion on that? The motions to zero that pursuant to OCD and CAC, though the ex-mayor said $100,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I think it's unanimous. Okay, YMCA HVAC improvements. 60,000 requested. OCD says 0, but CAC said 60, and the ex-mayor said 20,000. Oh, so we're all over the map on this one. Alicia,
Mr. Chairman?
hold on a second. I'm going to recognize Alicia first, and Councilor Graney, and Councilor Sullivan. Alicia, go ahead.
So the reason that OCD 0 funded this is because I believe that we would be able to accommodate that request through our CDBG CV funds. There was, and obviously we'd have to have a public process for that, but there was some money allocated towards street improvements with CDBG CV that was given to DPW and to the planning department, and those funds really have not moved. So I've been looking at other places that we could put that money. I believe it's about 110,000. And so we could do a reprogramming of CDBG CV funds. And I'm confident that we could fund that activity through another funding pool. And that would be.
Alicia, always on point. But would you just explain to me what the CV is? Because I don't have that in my notes.
Sure. So CDB, Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Funds. If you remember back last summer, we received an allocation of CDBG funds specifically to be used for the preparation, response to, and prepare for COVID. And there were a number of projects that were funded. You all reviewed those projects. One of the projects that was funded was street improvements with DPW and the planning department. That project hasn't gone anywhere. And so, in the last couple of weeks, we've taken a hard look at projects that were allocated funds that haven't moved, and we'll be presenting that to Councilor Murphy on Friday with our recommendations of, really, we need to move some money and we need to put it towards projects that are going to happen. And so we could do a process and fund, I think because that's COVID related, we would be able to fund that through a different pool. And that's why I recommended 0.
Councilor Graney? Again, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If I could just reiterate, the Community Development Office is managing 85 contracts right now. And so we have 85 active contracts with agencies and departments. We have a number of public works projects that aren't completed. And so I'm concerned about the internal capacity to manage additional public works projects. And I think you see that in my department's recommendations and where we are suggesting that funding be put. I just don't, I can't keep going back to HUD and saying we're getting them done and we're getting them done, and projects are further and further delayed. I think we need to take a hard look at the capacity of departments to get some of these projects done, because it's not just let's put up a handball court. It has to have bid specs written. It has to go out to bid. It has to have someone review those bids. It has to have someone oversee the construction. It has to have someone, there has to be bodies that manage these projects. And I don't mean to, just keep hitting this, but we're struggling getting our infrastructure projects completed. And that's why you see the recommendations that my staff and I have made, is we really want to try to let up a little bit on some of the departments that have open contracts, let them finish off their work. We've got big projects going at Springdale Park. We've got reprogramming for an HVAC system at the boathouse. We've got a spray pool going into Pena Park. We've got sidewalks that need to get done. And those projects aren't going to be done by June 30th. And so if we fund large or multiple public works projects moving forward, you're adding to the workload of an already reduced staff. So I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, that's an important soapbox.
Thank you for listening.
It's good. No, it's important. Those are important words you said, and you got the acting mayor right there. So I know he's taking copious notes. Councilor Graney's recognizing Councilor Graney.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Alicia said. If I understand it, if she can fund it another way, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I think it needs to be funded. Okay, thank you, Alicia. That's great. If you can do it, that's great. Thank you.
Well, I don't have a motion at this point, but
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, Councilor Tallman.
I'll make, after listening to her concerns, I'll make a motion to zero that out, and hopefully maybe down the road get some reprogram money for that item.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and second to zero that pursuant to the prior discussion. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, we haven't a one split vote yet. What's going on? Is it a full moon or something? Is it a full moon out there?
It's a pink moon.
It's
coming out.
I'm going to let that stand.
Blue cheese.
Next, DPW sidewalks. The request is 200,000. OCD said 86. That's an interesting number. CAC said Zippo. The former mayor said 57.5. Well, we all know what this is. I forget when Mike always has a standard number for whatever the price is per a couple of feet of sidewalk. It's it's beyond belief what a sidewalk costs. So if we're gonna do it, I'm of the opinion that, Alicia, is this something that makes sense? I love that the 86,000. How'd you come up with that one?
Where'd you get that number? Yeah, I got 50,000 of mine.
Because it was what was left over after we did all the other.
That's a fair answer.
And frankly, sidewalks are one of those ones where you could fund it at 200, you can fund it at 50, you can fund it at 25, and they'll do as many linear feet of sidewalk as they can for the price that you give them. So
yeah. I don't think we do much. Last year we awarded 0 for sidewalks, so I'm hopeful we can do better. Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I hope we can do better too. I'm looking at some of the things that we just didn't fund. Alicia, just on the sidewalks, because I know, certain areas got to be, for block grant money, right? Is it certain wards basically? Or could that...
It's by census tract and block groups.
So you could still do it in like maybe Ward 6 and Ward 4, unlikely Ward 7. I'm just thinking of some of the areas. It could be an area in Ward 7 possibly too.
There could be. What we're seeing is in the last shift of the census tracts, we were able to do more properties up off of Lincoln Street, like around Stop and Shop.
Right.
So heading in that direction. And then in the other direction, towards the mall, we were seeing like Brown Avenue, that area. We're seeing more low and moderate income census tracts going that way. So,
Okay.
you know, we really.
How about Woods Avenue?
How about what?
The hill on Woods Avenue.
That's a possibility.
Howie, hold on a second. We're not at a round table yet.
Yeah, my thing is, I think we're always struggling. I mean, everybody. I mean, that's everybody in the city would love to have a new sidewalk. I know, and you might only get 2 or 3 streets with the money. But I would like to see a good amount since we just passed over the last 2. My motion would be to put $150,000 towards sidewalk this year.
I'm going to just hold that motion because I'm thinking 100,000. But I just want to recognize Councilor McGivern first. Councilor McGivern.
Just a question through a chair. Alicia, what federal census, what numbers are you using? Is the latest one in yet?
No, we don't expect the latest census data to be issued for our use until the spring.
So regardless of what the outcome is, it won't have an impact on this particular go around.
It actually could, because this money will be available on July 1st. And so if the money doesn't get spent on the fall construction season, we could see some additional streets perhaps for spring of 22.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. So, because we didn't have that clarified. All right. So listen. Pete made a motion for 150. I'm gonna second that. But let's under discussion. Anyone? Hearing none. Seeing none. On the motion to amend it from the various numbers to $150,000. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 150. That should help somewhere. We don't know where, but it'll help somewhere, we hope.
Excuse me, Chairman Bartley, I'm going to be offline for 5 minutes.
Okay, Councilor Graney. All right, thank you. YWC, well, let me ask this. Is the committee okay to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just, because we still have a quorum. All right, we still have a quorum. YWCA Teen Parenting Program Facility. Got a wrong note here. I can't even read it. Damn it. The request is 11,000, but it was 0 for OCD, CAC, and the mayor. Alicia, why would we zero this out?
We felt like the price was high for the security system. And again, concentrating on fewer projects, putting more money.
Okay, same. Okay,
yep.
Yeah. I hear the OCD department on that one. I also hear somebody's dog getting mad.
Somebody's getting mad. It's not mine because mine's still upstairs.
It's all right.
I'll make a motion to zero that one out too.
I'm going to second that. On discussion, hearing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a 0. Okay, moving into Echo Dev, OC. Now this is for OCD to administer a small business grant program. Awarded 30,000 in FY20, requested 100,000 this year. OCD said 80,000. I'm missing the logic here. CAC and the ex-mayor said 100,000. Alicia, what's our pleasure? Is it 100,000 or is it 80,000? And then how did we do last year with the 30,000?
Okay, so let me explain why we only recommended funding ourselves at 80. When we put our proposals in, we're putting them in at the same time as everyone else. So I have no idea what's going to be coming in. And so then once I take a look at everyone else's proposals, then maybe we don't, we can, that's a program we can work with however much we get. So that's why it's only 80, because we looked at all the other proposals and decided that, we could take a cut there. In terms of the 30, we haven't spent the 30 yet. We ran into some snags with the small business program this year around capacity to administer the program. The Chamber of Commerce executive director left and they were working with us. So we had to pause the program, and I've been working with Aaron over the past few weeks, figuring out how it is that we can get it reopened. So we're gonna hopefully be making some changes and getting it reopened and get that money spent, get it on the streets to the businesses.
Thank you. And Alicia, I mean, I'll reach out to her myself, but if you do speak with Jordan anytime soon, would you let her know that we'd love to have her come to this committee to just sort of introduce herself and at some point? So I would never file that without asking her directly, but I've neglected to ask her. I'm sure she's been very busy, but
she has, and I believe she's working part-time. And so I'm more than happy to extend the invitation. We're in regular contact with her. She knows and agrees that it's going to take, more bodies than we currently have to administer the program. So we're looking to, if anybody actually, put it out there, if anybody actually knows anyone that might be interested in doing like a contract service with our office to help us administer it that has business experience, by all means, reach out to me. Because that's what Aaron and I are going to be looking for.
Yeah, actually, I have somebody in mind, so we can maybe talk about that.
Yeah, send them over.
Okay. Well, I think we heard what the Councilor Murphy. You want to weigh in on this particular matter right now, because ultimately it's going to land on your desk. I mean, this is a little squishy.
Two things, and I'm working, and I'm going to have probably late next week. I'm inviting the business community to come to the City Hall auditorium ballroom in a giant circle to offer their thoughts, their opinions on what has gone wrong, what they need, and what the city can do to try to get their businesses back up. Now, is this just for new businesses, or is this, so it's for businesses that have been in existence and are just small business?
So we qualify. So we actually have more than 30,000 because we have some COVID money as well. But we qualify businesses on one of two bases. One is the business owned by a low and moderate income household, and we've had a few of those. And then the second piece, and this is how most businesses qualify, is the money going to be used to retain jobs for low and moderate income employees?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's how we've been qualifying them.
So I would say this is certainly in line what I expect to hear next week. And again, I will say the business community has been very receptive to having somebody wanting to listen to them. So.
Well, I guess go ahead, Alicia. Sorry.
I think one of the challenges has been with the business community is that because these are federal funds, the application process, I'll be the first to admit, is onerous.
Yep.
We ask for a lot of paperwork. We ask for a lot of documentation. And that's one of the reasons that we'd like to have a point person, not a city employee, so to speak, because this money's going to go out the door and then it's going to be gone. But it would be beneficial for us to have a point person that the businesses can reach out to, who understand putting together a file, who understand what underwriting might look like. And so I think you're going to hear some frustration from the businesses that, they were sent to the chamber wasn't answering the phones because they had their own concerns. They were sent to the city. Yeah. So we're going to try to get that squared away.
If I could ask one more question to you, Alicia. So is it possible that we could use some of this money to get a one-stop contact, which would then smooth the process for the businesses, give them a very clear path, and a person that when they have comments or thoughts, questions, whatever, there's where you get your answers. And if that's the case, I mean, I'm pretty positive I'm going to hear what you just said next week. So,
in reviewing the program with Aaron, we determined that a portion of these funds can be used for what's called project delivery costs, where a small portion is applied to a fee, and we call it a contract service, to hire someone. It's not a city employee. It doesn't come with benefits, but it might be like so much per grant that they get, or it's so much per hour. But we need to find someone who really knows the programs, who understands it, who can work with the businesses. And it may not just be CDBG funds. There are other funding channels out there. And so it would be helpful to have someone that knows, like Common Capital, for instance, or one of the local lenders. So Aaron and I have been talking about that and working on it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilor Murphy, I was thinking more in terms of the amount. So you heard what Alicia said. There's 30,000 there, plus there's COVID money. What do we have for COVID money, Alicia? Would you estimate?
I think we've got the second round of COVID funds that we just finished up. There's probably 100,000 sitting there as well.
So we'd be talking 200,000 available.
Well, right now there's 130 available. Is what I'm hearing. Is that accurate?
That money's going to go fast. We're looking to do about $10,000 per business, and so that's not very many businesses. We've already done 15 businesses. We've completed 15 grants so far. I wouldn't think that like, oh, there's money there, we don't need to fund this. I think I would certainly put some fresh money in going forward.
Yeah, and I'd be inclined, just because this is both making sure we have some business stability, but also making sure we get people back to work.
Yes.
And stabilize our economic base. So I'm all for that. And again, I want the business community to know that we're trying to work with them, and I want to hear their concerns. So if you want to go higher, Council Bartley, I would be very comfortable with that.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of like 75,000 would be. I was just wondering if that would be within your comfort level.
I would, when I talk to Alicia, and if there's that other money that I know can come, then yeah, that would be the key point there. I mean, because if 75, if I'm hearing correctly, we're talking probably only 7 or 8 businesses.
Well, it is. Plus, it gives us some flexibility because we kind of wanted to fully fund the neighborhood improvement program, and that's kind of I think where.
Okay, no, I hear you. So
that's kind of where I'm hearing this argument going, but but that's my take. But I don't like to make motions as the chair, so I guess I can, but I don't like to do it.
I'll make a motion, Dave.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve $80,000 for this line item.
I'll second that. Motion's been seconded to approve at 80,000. If the motion's approved, made and second to approve it for $80,000, which is exactly what OCD recommended. Under discussion, hearing none on the motion. All in favor, 80,000.
Aye.
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 Okay, that's 80,000. There you go.
I'm back, Mr. Chair. I'm back, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay, Councilor Graney. Next up, OCD's facade improvement program. No request in FY20, but now we got a $50,000 request. OCD said what it said, half of that, but we heard Alicia's argument before as to why that is. And the CAC said 10, the ex-mayor said 50. Alicia, what can we do for the $50,000?
So these are typically matching grants for businesses to do facade improvements. You may recall we had the program a number of years ago. We did a few facades. It wasn't widely popular. And so based on Aaron's interest in providing services to business, we did put the application in for my recommendation of $24,000. We could probably do 2 businesses. Okay. This is a program that requires a 1-to-1 match from the business. So they put in $1, we put in $1.
Yeah, I kind of like that number because it gives us some flexibility, and it might get it off the ground. But Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, through the chair again to Alicia. If I remember correctly, going back a couple of years, there was almost no interest in this program at all whatsoever, right?
You're right. We terminated it for lack of interest.
Yeah.
But I would say that, we're in different times now. Businesses are looking to do more sort of outdoor dining. We have more businesses locating along High Street, and it's an added incentive. But you're absolutely right. It was canceled for lack of interest.
Yeah, we do have quite a few new startups on High Street. That's true. And all right, that's my only question was the historical part. Yep.
Yeah, and Alicia, in this, when you say Aaron, you mean the OPED department, true?
Yes, I'm sorry, Aaron Vega. Yep. Okay,
and did Mr. Vega indicate that he may have? Did he indicate any specifics to you when he proposed this?
Specifics in what way?
Any specific businesses that he would want to support?
No, he didn't give me any specific businesses. We talked about doing it again and trying again along Main, High, Maple, Chestnut Streets.
Wow, I like the sound of that myself, but Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this program is going to see a tremendous rebound for a number of reasons that have already been stated. And I would just add one more positive is the interest rates are so low, it makes it easier for business owners to borrow their portion of the facade improvement itself. And I think whether it's outside dining or things like the Valley Opportunity Council did on High Street, I think it's just a big plus when we see any type of improvement to the facades of our business district. But I would support it, and I think it's going to be see a big rebound.
Yeah, and Alicia, is there COVID related coronavirus funds related to this that we can use?
No, because the COVID funds are really direct related to COVID preparation type stuff. Now, if a business wanted to apply for COVID business grant money to do like buy outdoor dining equipment, that kind of thing, we could do it. But to tie a facade, which is really the building front construction, to COVID would be a challenge. Okay. I don't think we could make that hurdle.
Okay, and then just to Councilor Murphy, if we put this at 25,000, Councilor Murphy, so that would give you, the 75 plus the 30 plus the 100 for the small business grants. Then at that same meeting, you say there's also funds for facade grants. Is that number 25,000? Is that somewhere in your wheelhouse or hard to say?
It could be. Yeah. At this stage, I'd have to really see what's going on. I will also say that I spoke with Congressman Neal today, and I'm a little hopeful that when we get some directions on the money coming in, that we might be able to do some of this kind of stuff to enhance both the health of but also the business aspect of fixing up our infrastructure and buildings. And it could be just ours, and it could be businesses in general. And that's, as I understand it, they're still erasing and dotting and amending what they're doing. He said it was probably going to be about another 10 days before they really had a clear vision as to how we were going to be able to use it.
Mike, is your hand up again, or is?
Yes, it is.
Oh, sorry, Councilor Sullivan. Yep, sorry, I thought it was. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alicia, when we talk about a facade, are we referring to any part of the exterior walls of the building, or just the side facing the High Street or Main Street?
Typically, we require the side facing. I'm sorry, we're taking the dog out of the room behind me. Every time I go to save the file, it dings, and the dog thinks it's the doorbell. The benefits of Zoom. It's the side facing the street. So the storefront, that kind of thing.
All right,
so we've done, in the past, we've done new windows, we've restored. So along High Street, there's the leaded glass, louvered windows. We've done restoration of those. We've had business owners remove the coverings that covered the original arches in the doorways, awnings. We allow signs. Signs can't be the only improvement, but we do allow for signs. We try to be as flexible as we can. We try to be as creative as we can with the business owner.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the city just tore down a building in the last 30 days, really, I believe, or no, a couple of months between Lake Choneta and San Juan Bakery. So we've got an empty lot with these nasty looking brick walls that reverse to be interior common walls.
Yep.
So the structure that's gone. So would those businesses be able to use it on those side walls because they're still visible from High Street?
Yeah, I mean, we could try to work with them to do something where that sidewall gets improved, and then we do some sort of wraparound to the front. Yeah, we could make it, be creative with it.
Okay.
One of the barriers that we had with the facade improvement program was that folks that were applying were not current on their property taxes. And so that was a barrier and a challenge because you might have had a business paying rent in a building, but the building owner wasn't current on taxes. And so I would encourage, building owners and businesses that are renting to make sure your property owners are current, because that's one of the things that we do check.
Got it.
Mr. Chairman?
Counselor Graney and then Counselor Murphy.
I was just going to say motion to approve 25,000.
Okay. I'm gonna second that, but Counselor Murphy.
I'm off. I just like Counselor Sullivan's idea about that side facade, which certainly makes sense. It looks terrible, but it's also, it can't be safe, and it can't be making that building get in any better shape. So I like that. And I think we need to be a little more innovative on how we define facade.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with all the vacant lots, that something makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great idea by Counselor Sullivan. It's kind of forward thinking. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve it 25,000 under discussion. Hearing and seeing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 25,000. I don't know why we're all getting along tonight. The last in this category, Serve Food LLC, Food Business Incubator. This is on High Street at the north end. The request is 35. It was zeroed by OCD and CAC. The ex-mayor had it at 20,000. Alicia, why did we zero this?
The rationale for zeroing it is that a business can access that location by applying to our small business grant program. So you would apply to our small business grant program, ask for funds to rent the space at Serve Food.
Okay, can you communicate that to the vendor?
I can. Yep.
Would you do that, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know how this vote's going to go, but I think I have a guess.
I'll make a motion that we zero that one out.
Second. Motion made and seconded to zero that. Under discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, Alicia, where are we?
We got some money left over.
Oh, this is my favorite part. Go ahead, Alicia. What's the bell say?
It says you are at 136,106.
Oh, okay. We can go back in time. See, Counselor Sullivan, a little patience does you good, doesn't it, once in a while? Counselor?
A little.
Do you want to say thank you to the chair now? Okay, Cal, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would make a motion to fully fund the handball court.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to the NIP program. Oh,
I'll second his motion.
Yeah, I heard that motion. I didn't hear a second.
I second.
I'm sorry, Pete. I apologize. So motion made second to fully fund the handball court. I hear you on that, but I'm just curious as to why we would do that based upon the earlier discussion that was had, that it could come through excess funds.
Well, I'd be going to that next, but.
So what's your rationale though? I mean, if there's going to be funds left over that looks like that it can be used for that, why would you do it now?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. So the first one I wanted to make was the, I've completely lost my place, Dave.
Neighborhood improvement.
Yeah.
I thought you want to go neighborhood improvement.
Yeah, right.
So neighborhood improvement, we left it at, I believe, 150. Alicia, where do we put that?
150.
150.
150. Okay. So last year they got 170. The request is 250. OCD said 250. CAC and the ex-mayor said 150.
So I would make the motion to go to 250 on that.
I'll second that.
Okay. So motion been seconded to take this vital program. I mean, I think Joe talks about this all the time. And I think this would be, maybe this wouldn't happen every year, but because of some, good decisions I think this committee made, and we're here with the acting mayor, and I greatly appreciate the acting mayor's time and input into all this, because we've never had this once in my tenure. Counselor Sullivan, you all set. Counselor McGivern has his hand up on that. Counselor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't want to, miss that opening that you just gave me. But yes, I've always been a big fan of the neighborhood improvement program, dollar for dollar for what it does. But also there's a need and demand out there that I think is just always going to be with us. And this program has proven itself worth its while over the years. But thank you for considering.
Yeah, I think Councilor McGivern is right on this one. I mean, I've opposed fully funding this in the past, but and we've had our battles in this committee. But I think in this case, it's I think we did a really good job with budgeting, and I really appreciate Alicia's input and of course Terry's. So that's I would agree with that. That's my take. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none on the motion to add 100,000 to NIP to make it 250,000 on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, so that's now at 250,000, which that has got to be the first time that has ever been fully funded. It's got to be. But I could be wrong. That leaves us with 36,106. Well, I mean, you got sidewalks.
If I may, Chairman,
Alicia?
I would recommend fully funding the handball court so that the Parks Department and DPW can get moving on that project.
So we're 25 short with that one. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, make it the total 43,000 for the handball court.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded to fully fund the handball court. So we had it 18,000. We had an expectation of excess funds from prior years, but now we've done such a pretty good job here. We can add the 25,000. So that sounds like it makes sense. But I see two hands up. First, Councilor Sullivan, then Councilor McGivern.
Mine went up by mistake again.
Councilor McGivern. I see no hands up now. Okay, so I see no hands up. Very good. Wow, that changes like that. It's like being at OTB. Okay, on the motion to fully fund the handball courts, Ward 2 Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, wow. This committee just getting
Talk about
along.
a unanimous committee, Mr. Bartley.
Yeah, this believe me, it's a first in history. This has never happened. What's our balance, Alicia? What's the ding say? 11,000 what? That's okay. There's a typo in there. No, that's not 11,106. That's right. Wow, that's a weird number. Sidewalks.
Sounds good.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, you want to make the motion, please?
Motion.
Take the motion to put the remainder to the sidewalks.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to add $11,106 to DPW sidewalks, which we've had at 150. So that would make it 161,106. Under discussion. Hearing and seeing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one opposed. Okay. Moving west. Oh, this is the worst part, but usually we can get right through these. So these are all tough ones. Everybody's deserving. This is the non-public service. Well, this is the public service portion of the evening. And so, as always, we're always short. And this year we have overfunded it at CAC and the mayoral level, ex-mayoral level by about $2,500. I think we're probably $2,600. So we're going to have to do a little trimming on that score. But we'll just go through it one at a time. The Eagle Eye Institute Environmental Education, FY20 nothing. FY21, the request is 10,800, OCD 0, CAC said 5,800, the ex-mayor said 0. Alicia, are they new?
They're brand new, yeah.
Okay, and where is this organization based?
I believe they're based out of Northampton, and they've been working in Holyoke for a number of years.
Okay,
Again,
go ahead.
And again, the zero funding here for OCD staff is not a reflection of the program. It's more in line with, where the dollar is going to go. And because we had to recommend funding this $65,000 for the homeless services so high, we ended up having to reduce some of our other allocations. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
I recommend zero funding.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second to concur with OCD and the ex-mayor under discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Boys and girls targeted literacy program. Last year, 7,000. Request 15,000. OCD 7. The advisory committee 5. The ex-mayor said 7. We all know this is a great program. We all know the Boys and Girls Club. So, this is just one of those tough. One of those tough. Is $7,000 going to help them out, Alicia?
Yep. They serve as many children as they can with the funding that we give them. So
I'll recommend the 7,000.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second to concur with the ex-mayor and OCD and the 7,000 under discussion.
If I could just offer
Councilor
one.
Murphy.
Yeah, again, partly because of what these kids have gone through in the last year. All kids, but obviously many of the kids that go to the Boys and Girls Club. I may be fine with the 7. I know I will be looking at this in terms of how many kids are we talking and where are we going in terms of trying to get them to grade level. I am extremely concerned, having talked with Dr. Reich before and now Anthony and others about where we go. And I know the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA have both done a lot of pods, learning pods, and trying to help people stay attuned. So I just want to let you know, that is a significant concern for me. And if we can do it, I certainly want to get as many kids to get them as close to grade level as quickly as possible, so that they're not going to school and being frustrated, and then we know what happens. So and I know they do a great job down there, and they're very youth oriented, one by one. So that's just my comment on it.
Well, we have a motion that's been seconded. We can, seeing how we do with it, if there's something that can be cut below, we can maybe circle back to this. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine.
On the motion, any further discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We move forward. Girls Inc. Strong, Smart, Bold. This is an initial program. The request is 15. OCD 7. Advisory Committee 10. Ex-Mayor 10. Alicia, why 7,000?
We're trying to Girls Inc. runs a successful program. We've have a good track record with them, and again, just trying to provide, trying to maximize the funding. Try to provide these agencies with a little bit of money without, going crazy and giving everyone $2,000.
Okay, so
hopefully to make an impact.
Okay, this is a new program. Is it this will help children as well? True.
It is. It's for it's STEM for girls. So.
Well, you sold me. So
I recommend the 7.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I wish we could increase that, but hopefully the acting mayor can do something about that too. But Councilor Sullivan, sorry.
For my 2 cents in before we vote, is I'd like to see them get the whole 15, because we've already kind of gone after them hard, because of the loss of tax revenue and stuff like that. They've got their challenges with handicap accessibility and stuff like that. They bought the building. They've got to take on that responsibility themselves. Let's help them out as much as we can with programming.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So it's a a winning argument, I say, but it's, it's like all these are all going to be worthwhile. But I would tend to agree with Mike on that one. But so I'll second Mike's motion. So that's the motion before us at this point. Any further discussion, Council Tallman?
I think it's a worthy motion, but I'm just wondering that we do that, we're going to have to make a cut from some other programs, and that's a difficult thing sometimes. Maybe we can come back to it.
It is, and we can't come back to it. So you're right on both those scores.
Yeah, I would still try to keep it 7 and then see if there's something else that maybe we all don't agree with, and or maybe go middle range, maybe go 10. I'm just concerned that I don't want to hurt some of these other agencies.
Well, that's a fair argument too, Mike.
I get the point there, but I think we'll have plenty of opportunity to do that as we go, and this one we ought to give the full benefit to.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Mike on this one, but that's just me. But we can always come back and cut it, okay? So that's my take. But let's just take a vote. Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion, the motion now is 15. The recommend 15,000. That's before us, which is their request. It's STEM for girls. So, I mean, I don't know. It says it all to me. But all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. We'll put 3-1 with that with a little asterisk. So to try to come back to that one. Okay. So I'll put an asterisk there. All right. Greater Holyoke YMCA alternative after school program alternatives for youth. The award last year was 10. The request this year is 12. OCD 10. Advisory 6. Mayor 9. It's all pretty much right there before us. So.
I'll make a motion to approve 10,000.
Second.
Okay, motion made in second to approve it 10,000. Under discussion? Seeing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, 10,000 it is. I guess that's unanimous. Holyoke Safe Neighborhood Initiative, their back to school event. This is a winner every year. They always request the 5. We always give them 3. So I don't know. Why did OCD put 0 on this one, Alicia? Tough, just to try to move the money around.
Trying to move the money around again because of the limited dollars this year, and it's a great program. We've been working with them, but this was one where we felt like there would be other community support potential other than CDBG. So, they do an amazing job getting donations and community volunteers. And so when hard choices had to be made, we thought that they would probably be able to find the money somewhere else.
Wow. Well, that would free up another 3,000 for the Boys and Girls Club or Girls Inc. So I don't know. It's up to what's your pleasure to the committee?
I think it's a worthy program. I'd like to make a motion to put at least maybe 1,500.
Yeah, I agree. That's a tough cut. I'll second Pete's motion.
Okay, motion been seconded to give him $1,500 in discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. The legendary Homework House Inc. after school tutoring, last year 10, request 15. Everybody else agrees. Wow, that's the first. I think that's the only unanimous one they had, 10,000. I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the 10,000.
Second.
Motion made in second to approve the 10,000. Discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 10,000. I mean, how you gonna beat that group? Boy Scouts. Summer camp and scouting. 63.9. Well, can't blame for trying. OCD 0. CAC 8320. Ex-mayor said 0.
I'll recommend 0.
I'll second that.
Yeah, motion made and seconded. Alicia, just on discussion, where's this group based? Which PAC is this?
So it's the Regional Boy Scouts, and I believe the camp is somewhere out west of Westfield. And you know, we certainly would support funding it if we had more money, but felt like the per child cost was just really high. And certainly if you look at their request of $63,000, that's like a third of our overall budget in this category. So we felt like even a partial fund wasn't going to quite serve as many children as we would typically have liked to see.
Could and I appreciate that. Can we consider communicating with them because I hate like heck to discourage any new applicants, one, and B, and I'll recognize Council Sullivan in a second, B, to just inquire as to how many Holyoke kids are going to this. And I mean, it's a Boy Scouts, for heaven's sake. So I mean, it's just important, but just how many Holyoke kids would be impacted on a annual basis. I don't know. You can put it to them somehow. Maybe that
I can follow up with them. And I will say, so anybody that CDBG funds, they have to be Holyoke children. So if this was funded, they would have to be Holyoke kids anyway.
Oh, sure. I'm just curious as to how many they're targeting. And
then the other piece too is I'm happy to reach out to them, and we can reach out to many of these agencies. We encourage new applicants because we never know how much money we're going to get. And if there was a windfall and we were able to fund $400,000 worth of public services, then we'd have all those applications lined up. So that's one of the reasons that we encourage new agencies. We actively seek new agencies, and we encourage people to put in for what they think they're really going to need, because we just never know how much we're going to get. But I'm happy to communicate with them and reach out.
Yeah, that goes for anyone, so I don't have to keep repeating, but thank you. Okay, motion on the table is for to concur with the OCD and the ex-mayor to zero fund, unfortunately. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, all right. Boys and Girls Club career launch. A more reasonable request of $8,000, but OCD, the CAC, and the mayor all said not in the budget this year. Alicia?
So we recommended not funding it because the Boys and Girls Club are being funded with the targeted literacy program, and because we felt like there were other opportunities for paid internships in the city. So Again, great program, great goals, but when you only have 100 and some odd thousand to play with, there had to be cuts made. So
I'll make a motion to put that at zero.
Second.
Motion made and second to zero that out. Under further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public Services Elderly Handicapped West Mass Elder Care Disabled Meals Program. The award last year was 10. The request this year is 45. OCD said 26. CAC 15. Ex-mayor said 10.
I'd like to make a recommendation on this, Councilor Bartley.
Councilor Graney.
That we fund for 20,000.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded and thirded for 20,000. I mean, I think it says it all. I mean, this is kind of a desperate times, right, for the elderly. Any further discussion? Hearing none on the motion, all in favor for 20,000?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Public Services, Employment Education, Care Center, Working for the Future, 15,000 FY20. The requested 20,000. OCD 5, CAC 10. Ex-mayor said 10. Alicia, can you tell us a little more about the Working for the Future for the Care Center?
Sure. So the Care Center works with pregnant and parenting young women, and this program provides funding for them to either get their high-set diploma, their high school diploma, or to work towards their high-set diploma through the Bard College program. And so it's ensuring that young women have access to educational opportunities to hopefully eventually support their families. And
Okay,
I have to say,
go ahead. Sorry.
They've been working. The young women, we just had an invoice come in from them over the last week. The young women have been doing their programming online, doing a great job. This is an agency that we work closely with and really moves the money.
Okay, but we saw the request and we know the program and we recommended 5,000. Now, why did we do that?
We did that again because of the limited funding and limited funding. I feel like
I'm sure that's what the answer was going to be, but I just wanted to hear you say it. So, because unless I was missing something. Where are we in budget wise? What we probably not doing so good in this one. Okay, well, we're hanging in there. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 7,000.
I'll second that. Motion made a second to approve it at 7,000. Under discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, there we go. Okay. Entrepreneurship for All, Spark E for All. Last year, FY 2035 request 40,000. OCD said 5, so we're going to hear about that. If that could be the same answer. CAC said 20, and the ex-mayor said 35 and change, but I'm sure that was because for budget reasons. Probably just basically level funded from last year. Alicia, why the 5?
Same reason.
Fair enough.
Same reason.
But it's a good program. We know it's run well, right? I mean, they do a lot of good work. True.
Yep. And we actually we partner with them, and we use them as the basis to ensure that if a business has graduated from the Spark program or some other programs, we use that as a basis for qualifying for the small business grant. So if you have a new entrepreneur who hasn't been in business very long, but we know that they've had some solid training, then we're able to qualify them for a small business grant. So it's necessary, but again, it's not, the recommendation is not a reflection of the agency.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to start making some tough decisions soon. So what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
How much do we have left again?
Alicia, would you scroll down the bottom, please?
Absolutely. You're at 116,678.
And the balance is 75?
You've allocated 70,500.
Okay, allocated 70,500. Okay. And so we have left
116,678.
Okay.
Would $10,000 funding be reasonable for this?
I'll second that.
Yep.
Motion's made and seconded to double OCD's recommendation. Under discussion, anyone? Hearing none. On the motion, and we can revisit these. Let's not be afraid to revisit. On the motion to fund it at $10,000. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Kate's Kitchen, we know we're going to skip because they're withdrawn, so we're going to keep moving west. Salvation Army. We never fund the Salvation Army, and I don't know why we don't ever fund the Salvation Army, but we never do. And I know it's a massive organization. I get it. But I'm just saying we never fund them. So, and they never. I know they do a lot of good work for a lot of people, but I don't know. So this is for rent and utility allowance. Oh boy, there's a lot of other agencies that do that. At any rate, can I get a motion?
Dave, can I just ask?
Council Thomas.
Ask Alicia about that. Why there was nothing? I know they didn't ask for anything last year, but I mean this year by their application? Was there a reason why you put 0?
There is $20,000 for rental assistance, and the amount of work and technical expertise that the administration of rental assistance takes. We didn't feel like they had the local capacity to do it for 20,000.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Rental administration of a rental allowance program is very, very tricky, and it needs to be done by an agency that has long-term experience working in the CDBG program, and frankly, the amount of work that it would take to get them up to speed to actually hand out 20,000 is not worthwhile for us.
Okay, I'll make a motion to 0 that one out.
Second.
Motion made second to 0 it. Just under discussion. Alicia, that's another one because it is a Salvation Army. And can we, is there a way that somebody can bring them up to speed, or they can get some technical training to show that they have the aforesaid capacity? Is there something you can recommend to them?
So I actually just had an interview. They had hired a consultant to do some reprogramming, rebranding, rebuilding, capacity building locally. And I just had a pretty lengthy discussion with that person recently, and made some suggestions. We can certainly reach out to them again. One of the suggestions I would have for them is to, stick with a program that you're currently doing now. So maybe that's meals distribution, food distribution, toy distribution, that sort of thing. But the rental allowance, utility allowance, that requires like certification of the applicants. It requires reviews of leases. It requires contracts with the landlords. It's a really challenging program to work in. So I'm happy to go back to them and make some other suggestions, but we wouldn't be comfortable having them do rental assistance at this point.
Okay, on the table, we have a motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so we zero that one out. Providence Ministries for the Needy. Loretto House, the request is 25. No, sorry, request is 30, OCD 25, advisory 20, ex-mayor 20. And then Marcus Pantry, the request is 25. God, last year was 25, the request is 30, OCD 25, advisory 20, ex-mayor 20. I mean, they've been before so many times. I think we're all familiar with what they do at Loretto House, and Marcus Pantry, I think, is pretty vital, especially in this day and age. So
I think they're both great programs. I like to go with the OCD recommendation and level fund them from last year for 25,000.
I'll second
motion
that.
made in second to level fund to agree with the OCD recommendation to fund them at $25,000 each. Under discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so that should zap us down a little bit. All right. Women's Shelter, Compañeros, Domestic Violence Intervention. I think we all know where this is. 18,000 last year. The request is 19,744 this year. OCD 15,000. So, I mean, I'm looking at our balance on this. I hate to do anything less than level funding, but what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I think it's a great program. I've really have supported them over the years, and especially with times of COVID. I think it's important to at least give them what they got last year, and my motion will be for 18,000.
Yeah, I would
second that.
Okay, under discussion, Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I would appreciate that as well. I mean, everything I have heard, and I've had conversations with them, the domestic violence situation, because of obviously everybody being stressed out, being much more confined, if you will. There's been significant increases in concern. So I think we definitely need to try to at least keep what we've done before, and make sure that we work with them to keep it as minimal as possible and get the people the needed protection as soon as we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is one of the few agencies that really Pete, if you remember, they've actually come down a couple times to see us in room 11. So so that's just some. I think they've been, I think this is something we've really supported over the years, and I think that in light of what we've heard and what we're all aware of, we need to at least level fund them. So the motion on the table. I'm sorry, Councilor Graney. Okay, yeah, motion's been made and seconded to fund to 18,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. 18,000. Okay. Public service, general, other. I like this category. Farmers market manager. I'll take a motion.
Motion to zero it out.
I'll second that. Under discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Zero. OCD community neighborhood cleanup. 2,500 last year, 2,000 requested, 750 from OCD. CAC ex-mayor said 2,000. Do we have I mean, it's all worthy. Let's just see where we're the budget. Well, we're hanging in there.
I'll make a motion to do the OCD recommendation of 750 to help out a little bit.
Second.
Yeah, I think that's a great motion. Alicia, does that work for you? Okay. Terry, that work for you?
For the most part, yep.
Okay.
I know they get good support from the DPW with picking up things and all that. So there's a good community effort here. So
I mean, that's another time to plug my friend Sheriff Kochi and the great work they did with me. Bringing all that muscle behind the Fitzpatrick rink.
Yep.
I didn't even know this existed. How did I forget? Well, I did, but DPW was right there too. Mike and the DPW four persons, they were right there helping out. Grabbing the bags that we left behind. It was really a total team effort for that. And I want to again publicly thank Eddie Case and Sheriff Kochi for their impossible to do it without them. And I know that the administrator of the Fitzpatrick rink, Mr. William Buck, he really appreciates it. And just if I may, just a point of personal privilege, Terry, that fence at the top of the hill on South Elm Street, that's got to be reconnected to the fence that's there, because trucks are again backing up and dumping back down the hill. And so, and that's per Mr. Buck it's not getting horrible, but I went back to clean it up again by myself. That's the second time. And I took 4 bags out. So
we try to arrange me, you, Bob Parent, and someone else up there, just to kind of make them aware, and then let's get it done.
Well, the problem is I believe that's Commonwealth property. However, if we could get something temporary up there, just as a stopgap measure, and I don't mean a police tape line. I mean something, even those plastic things, is something we could stretch across. That would probably be a help. But we have a motion on the table, 750. On discussion further, hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 750. Okay, well done. One Holyoke CDC, keep it clean. Awarded 2020, requested 10, but 0, 0, and 0 by the 3 entities. One Holyoke CDC does a lot, but we support them a lot and other things. So, what's your pleasure?
Motion to 0.
Second.
Motion made and second is 0 on discussion. Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Before you do that,
strike that, Councilor Murphy.
Just one of the other things that they do, and it's kind of, while it does cleaning, but one of the things that by doing that they've been able to do is get more community members involved. So I just want you to think about it from not only the cleaning aspect, but also the community building aspect. So I know they have brought people that in South Holyoke and in Churchill that hadn't been involved, and I'm seeing some people who and we got a cleanup coming in South Holyoke on the 22nd. I know people that I've never seen before are starting to come, and a lot of it gets coordinated there. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not 2,000 may be too much, but I'd like to give them something if possible, just to show that we appreciate their efforts, but also that, I mean, it's serving, uniting the community on a mission.
Well, what if hypothetically we said 1,000? How would that work?
I'd be okay with that. Yep.
All right. Do you want to do a motion to reconsider?
Motion to reconsider.
A motion to reconsider.
Motion made and second, reconsider, not debatable on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Recommend
Take a new motion.
Recommend 1,000.
Second.
Motion made and second to grant them $1,000 under discussion. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. $1,000. There you go. Mass fair housing, legal services. This is for Holyoke residents to help them with housing issues. Here we have a new applicant. So this to me is pretty cool. And but how are we doing budget wise? Yikes, we're getting down there.
You're pretty good.
You're about right. What we
Okay.
got left? Yeah.
Yeah, we're closing it, but don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of put it to a couple other entities up above, but it's, you know, I mean, I could see this being approved at the OCD recommended level. I could see that. I mean, so it's because they're walking the door fresh, $5,000 OCD recommended it. I mean,
I'll make a motion to make it 5,000.
I'm going to second that. Under discussion, Councilor Sullivan, you had your hand up?
No, I'm all set.
All set. Motion made and seconded to approve that $5,000. Councilor Murphy, are you okay with that? It's a new entity?
Yep. That sounds good to me.
Okay. Under further discussion, hearing none on the motion for $5,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. 5,000. I think that's a great order motion, Terry. Pete. Wayfinders. We're very familiar with them. Resident leadership in Spanish. The request is a weird number. OCD had 4. CAC had the weird number. The ex-mayor had $5,000. Alicia, can you just tell us a little bit about resident leadership, please, for Wayfinders?
Sure. It's I believe it's 12-week program. The team meets, so they recruit from the neighborhood. They recruit neighborhood residents. It's a 12-week training program. They come together once a week. Typically Wayfinders gets dinner contributions, and they provide training to the residents around issues of who is the government, who is the executive branch, the legislative branch. Where do you go in City Hall to make a complaint? What if your neighbor, is doing car repairs in the driveway? So they empower people to be basically neighborhood stewards through this 12-week program. It's issues of conflict resolution, mediation, accessing local government, how to ask for services around local government, what does your neighborhood look like, that sort of thing, how to get involved in civic life.
Well, I mean, I know this is with all these larger issues going on, but especially in light of the order we had relative to translation of city council meetings, hopefully some other topics. Myself and the former Ward 2 councilor, we really tried to get some momentum going for a lot of these things. Ran to a brick wall with the former Room 1 resident, but that's okay. But now we have, I think, a more receptive Room 1 resident. And so, Alicia, one more question. The $4,000 is, do you think that's gonna move this forward a little bit?
I think so. Yep.
I'll recommend the 4,000.
I'll second.
Motion is made and second to concur with OCD on that. Under discussion.
Yeah, if I can.
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I think 4,000 would be fine to get. And I will say, part of the initiative and the push for me to work on the translation into Spanish was by some of the people that used to be in this program and some people that were thinking about getting into it. So, I mean, they are trying to get more and more people involved and deal with the problems in the community. So I think it's a good program. I'm fine with the 4,000, get them a good start, and then I think they can fundraise and get the rest.
Counselor Sullivan.
I'm jumping the gun. I'm up for the next one.
Having technical problems, but we'll smile our way through it, Mike. Okay, on the motion, under any further discussion? Hearing none. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. 4,000 it is. Office of Community Development, Homeless Services, new program, request 65, OCD 42 and change, CAC 20,000, mayor, ex-mayor agree with the 20,000. Alicia, why don't you give us just a couple more details. You gave us some details earlier on this, but this is a drop-in center that you were talking about. HPD, for whatever reason, didn't apply. It's a drop-in center to try to help people transition out of their desperate situation and hopefully get more permanent housing. But what did I miss?
I don't think you missed anything. It's a location that when the police department encounters someone on the streets, they can take them to get them a cup of coffee, talk to them about the resources that may be available for detoxing, get them connected to other networks, mental health services, housing services, that sort of thing. It's been important to have it off the premise of the police department, away from the police department, so that it's not viewed as a punitive or a criminal type thing. This is really about human services. But because the police department has contact with so many folks that are out there, it's been effective so far. So it's
sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought, Alicia.
That's it. I know that the CAC and the former mayor recommended funding at 20, but the program probably wouldn't run for 20. We really need at least the 42,428 to make it work.
Fair point. Thanks for telling us that. Councilor Sullivan and Councilor McGivern.
Yeah. So through the chair again, Alicia, why did the police department not submit a request this year?
I think because we'd have to talk to Lieutenant Hart, but I think that it was a missed communication when we announced the availability of the grant applications. He may have been on leave or away. So we didn't, like I said, we didn't want the program to fall apart or fall off the radar screen. So that's why we put this application in.
Okay. I just want everybody to know, I've used this, I've called and requested the services program on several occasions over the last year. And the way the officers respond is fantastic. And I believe this is working out of the STEAM building, Alicia. You're muted.
Sorry. Yes. Down on Canal Street, Race Street.
Yes. And it's a great program because they don't bring them into the police station. It's a place where people can go. They don't feel threatened, and they're much more willing to open up about their situation and accept help through a program like this. I'm very much in favor of definitely seeing this program continue.
I would strongly recommend if the city council and the mayor are serious about providing services to both people impacted by mental illness, drug addiction, and those that are unsheltered, I would seriously consider funding it at least 65 or upwards of 65, so that we can ensure that the drop-in center continues to operate, but then they also have some funding for other supplies and that sort of thing. Because right now we're not able to supply them with any kind of materials. We're just paying for the location. So just something to think about.
How much we got left, Alicia?
Not much. 30,000, 27,000.
27,928.
27,928. Councilor Sullivan has the floor.
Well, right now I'd like to make a motion to move the full 27,928 there, and then revisit a few other programs.
Well, okay, I'll recognize all motions, but other councilors have their hands up. So I'll get back to you, Mike. Is there anything else?
Nope.
Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Chair. Alicia, the 65,000 or the 42,428, what is that paying for exactly?
So the 42,428, I believe would be the total that we estimate for rent for the space for the coming year.
And who's the landlord?
The current landlord is Lori Devine, and I don't remember what the name of the entity is, but the current landlord is, they're affiliated with Gateway Cities. However, this year we would be seeking, we'd probably be doing an RFP with the police department to make sure that we're getting competitive rent rates.
With the police department?
Right, because the police department operates the drop-in center, so we would partner with them to have a procurement process where we would put it out for bids for landlords to bid or submit proposals for July 1st for 1 year rent.
And how large is this space?
Oh, you know, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know what the square footage is.
Because you're looking at about $3,600 a month.
Yeah, I think that's my estimate. Yeah.
And does any of this money go to salaries for the police?
No, nope. Let me pull up the let me see if I have that in the budget. No, none of it goes to salaries for the police. Let me see if I put it in the budget. I did not do a breakout budget for that. I could get you the numbers.
If you could.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I understand rent, but I think the intent and the need is there. No doubt. You know how I feel about Motel 6, but I'm not going to talk about Motel 6 tonight. But as far as the police being involved, I don't have a problem, but I think they can absorb that within their budgets. I'm glad we're not paying the police officers salaries. And I think for that type of money, just for rent, there's got to be something better out there. Cheaper, so you could have more money for supplies and other stuff.
Let me, Counselor, let me get you the number on the rent costs. And we're not paying for supplies. We're just currently, with the current allocation, we're only paying rent.
No, you said with the 65,000, you could do other stuff.
Yeah, we could do other things.
So if we got a cheaper rent, you could do other things.
Yep, absolutely. And which is why I want to put it out for bid.
And the recipients of the service,
yeah,
do they have to be a Holyoke resident?
So many of the folks that are served are homeless, and they're listing homeless as their address, but they're coming off the streets of Holyoke. So the police pick them up, and take them to the drop-in center, and we get their demographics, but most of them are reporting out as homeless. A few of them are reporting addresses, and the addresses are within Holyoke, but most of them are reporting out as homeless. I'm just checking to see what last year's budget was. Okay, so last year's budget was $30,000, and for $30,000, that's 30,000 divided by 12. So we're currently paying about $2,500 a month.
And how many individuals were seen per month last year?
Well, we're currently in the cycle, and I want to say the numbers have been. We just had a staff meeting. The numbers were really good. Let me see if I can get to that really quickly. So to date, our drop-in center, as of today, our drop-in center has served 110 individuals. You there?
I am.
Okay.
And
okay.
I'm debating whether to say something. It may make sense and it may not, but I know you're working remote tonight, but if you're in the office tomorrow, there's a spot in the building you work, which I think has enough room to handle this, and security, because you would have people from the sheriff's department manning it on certain days, and the location in the proximity of the courthouse, but not in the courthouse, I think would go hand in hand. I know a couple other people I can't speak for who would probably be able to help out with the services that, the police I know do a good job, but I know a lot of other employees that do good jobs in this area.
So are you thinking of the space in the basement of the annex?
I think there's room in the safety center and off the safety center.
Okay.
But it would be cooperation. It's rented now by the sheriff.
So that would be something that I would look to the mayor to take up with the police department?
I think the mayor just said, that's a great idea, Joe.
He did?
Yeah.
He did?
I didn't hear that.
All right. All right.
It's been a long day.
All right. It's not freewheeling time yet, but
we can take that idea to Lieutenant Hart and let him know as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I just want to, and to Councilor McGivern, I certainly will try to discuss it, trying to find the best way we can do this. Alicia, 2 questions. I mean, 110 clients, how long do they stay? Is there an average stay at this facility?
It's not an overnight or residential.
Okay.
So it is open. It may actually be available 24/7. Because I know when we get our reports, we get reports from like the overnight shift from the police department, the day shift from the police department. So however long it takes for a triage, to have someone try to help them find a detox bed, that sort of thing.
Okay. And I'm going to endorse what Councilor Sullivan said, because I've been down to the Ray Street facility. I've met with the detectives, I met with the officers, I met with the community police. There's counseling from the Behavioral Health Network, and I know their goal is so admirable. It's to try to get people and have been relatively successful getting people to get into programs to try to find rehab. Now, some of the problem after the rehab is to try to keep them safe, but I definitely think this is something that we've made progress on, and we've done it the right way. It's not a police presence as much as a human presence, and I think it's been well received from what I gather, both from the officers and from the Behavioral Health Network specialists that have gone with them. So it's made a difference in some people's lives. Obviously, we'd like to make a difference in more people's lives. So I thank them for what they do, and I thank you for bringing this up. And Councilor McGivern, thank you for the suggestion.
Councilor Tallman.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important and vital that we keep this program going. It's just the concerns. Alicia, my thought is, we got $27,000 left, and that's not even going to come, not even halfway of the 65. But is there a way that maybe later on some program money could be used towards this? Reprogram money, or is it no?
No, this is the category where it's capped, and
okay.
So we can't use any more than $187,178.
So it's got to. So if we do fund this, unless we find some other funding somehow or grants, we're going to have to cut a lot of other. Even if it's 42,000, we got to cut about $20-something thousand from other places.
So even if you decided to level fund it with last year, and you level funded it at 30, you'd have to come up with the additional $2,000 or so.
Right, but last year there was none last year, was there?
Last year they were funded. Well, this current fiscal year they're funded at 30,000.
Oh, okay, so then we'd have to find money halfway through the year or something to fill the gaps.
No, so what you could do is if you wanted to level fund the drop-in center through this request, you could change this 27,000 to 30.
Okay. And then
then you'd have to shave off $2,072 from some other proposal here.
But what is that going to do for the drop-in center?
Well, that would level fund it, and and pay hopefully rent for 1 year.
Oh, it would. Okay. I thought you said the rent was 42,000. Oh, okay.
Well, I estimated that if we did rent and some supplies for the upcoming year, that's where we got the 42,000. It was sort of just a ballpark.
Oh,
but
okay.
Right now they're funded at 30,000. You know, rents have been going up. But then if there was municipal space, then you wouldn't need to pay rent. But if you level funded it tonight at 30, you'd need to come up with $2,000 cut somewhere else here. We can't add more money to this category.
Okay, thank you. I think that'd be a good thing to do, and I think we can maybe cut something $2,000 somewhere else. It's not going to be easy, but because everything here is worthwhile. But I would go along with that.
Alicia, I just have a quick question or two, maybe, just on the putting out the RFP. Was that done initially when we procured the space?
I don't know. I know I think we've been in the space now for 2 cycles, and I can't speak to the original, how we ended up there originally. I'd have to go back to the file and look.
Is that something you can add to your communication to Councilor McGivern and the rest of us, is how that came about?
Yep. I can talk to Lieutenant Hart about it.
Okay. And then it's my understanding that the landlord has that building for sale. Do you know if that's true still?
I can't speak to that at all. Nope.
Okay, because that's been publicized, so that's not kind of any inside baseball thing. That's been that's been put in the paper and all that. So maybe you can have any. I don't want a research project, but maybe if you hear about that. To Councilor McGivern, without divulging anything, how when you raise those points, how quickly, in your estimation, do you think you can turn around and get an answer to some of those questions? Relative to the alternative space and relative to the alternative space as you described it.
Well, I'll be getting an answer and inquiring are 2 different things. I'll inquire, if the committee feels it's a good idea, but I think we need the police department and the mayor to be on board. It's a question of 2 people to talk to, and one of them, is your good friend, the sheriff. And I don't have to do that, but I know the person who would talk to him if they think it's a good idea, because it would be shared space. But I think the intent and the service goes hand in hand with what's happening within the safety center itself. It just might make sense to combine it. Even the judge and Judge Hadley is brought in some clinical help for people who are being arraigned for the first time. They work in the courthouse, but they immediately can access an assessment of what their substance abuse needs might be. And I'm not saying the police department wouldn't want to work at that level, but who knows? Maybe that will go hand in hand someday. And, the combination of, and I think, Mayor Murphy said it perfect. It's a human touch that we need, more people that can talk and with people and make them feel comfortable and convince them, it's time. It's time to pull the trigger on detox. It's time to enter into a program. That's the idea. I'm just, my thoughts were based on paying rent for something that the city, I think, can provide, or in this case, kind of a little bit thinking out of the box, a partnership could happen here. It's, but that's it. I'll inquire.
Okay, can we just to the committee? I kind of sense where this is going, but you're going to have to make a cut. So, of looks like 2072. So we kind of went over a little bit on Girls Inc. We kind of went over a hair or 2 on Margaret's Pantry and Loretto House. The rest of it, is what it is. I don't know if we can really I mean, we're really splitting hairs at this point. So,
Can I make a proposal, Dave?
Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, well, a question first to Alicia. Could you tell us a little more about this Mass Fair Housing Organization? Who are they? Where are they based?
So Mass Fair Housing is a housing discrimination agency based in Holyoke. It's one of the oldest in the country, I believe. They have a team of lawyers, paralegals, and they assist folks with housing discrimination cases. They do housing discrimination testing. They do a lot of fair housing work.
Who else? Because they're based in Holyoke.
They're on Suffolk Street in Holyoke. They've been around for decades.
And they've never been to us for money before. Who else do they get funded by?
So they're primarily funded by HUD, but they have been to us from funding in the past. They actually have a COVID legal services grant that they're working in right now. So we've partnered with them for years with fair housing issues.
But we've never had to fund them before.
I believe we funded them in the past. So, but their funding primarily comes from the state and from the federal government, other government entities to do fair housing work.
All right, and so they're getting money from HUD, and then this is more HUD money going in backdoor to get back to HUD.
It is, except that when they accept HUD funds, it sometimes doesn't come with the geographic limitations. And in this case, it's money intended for Holyoke residents. So when we do a grant agreement with them, we can ensure that there's money there for Holyoke residents.
And so they're based here in Holyoke, but they do work for other communities as well.
Well, they work for clients throughout the valley. So you might be out in Pittsfield and have a fair housing concern, or be turned away from an apartment, and you would call them and get services. If we fund them with a grant, then again, the money is used to provide services to Holyoke residents.
Okay.
I mean, I could see if that's a concern. I could see, maybe a shave one of them $1,000, another one $1,000, and it leaves us with $72. I wish I could just write a check for the difference. So we'd have to have the weird number there, but all right. Well,
I'd make a motion to cut the 2,072 from Mass Fair Housing.
I'm okay. I don't hear a second unless somebody wants to pipe up with a second on that. That motion fails.
Okay, I'd make another motion to cut 1,000 from there.
I'll second that.
All right, that motion has seconded. Under discussion, I'm going to support this, but I guess I'm curious as to where the other 1,072 is coming from. But I think that's a good motion, so I'll support it. On the motion, under discussion, hearing none, to cut Mass Fair Housing legal services from $5,000 to $4,000. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I guess that's unanimous. 4,000. Okay. So that takes care of that one. We need another 1,072. We haven't even voted on the 30,000 yet, but we will vote on that momentarily. But I need another $1,072.
I'd make a motion to cut 1,072 from Sparky for all.
I'll second that. Under discussion. So that would take Spark to, there it is, 8928. There you go. Thank you. So that's motion's second. Under discussion on that motion. Hearing none on the motion to amend that to 8928. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Back to homeless services. Oh, yeah, homeless services OCD. If I can get a motion on that, please.
Motion approved $30,000 for homeless services, OCD.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the aforementioned budget item to 30,000 on discussion. Hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that takes care of that part. For the overall budget, where we are there any additional motions to cut any additional items? I see Councilor Sullivan's hand up, but I know that's a retro. If I could get a motion to approve the two budgets, the non-public service budget and the public services budget. If I could get a motion for that as we've amended it.
Motion to approve the non-public services and the public services budget as amended.
Second.
And also
Made and seconded on the aforesaid motion. On discussion, hearing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alicia, do we have to take a separate vote on
The home money.
on the home funds?
Before we get to home funds, if you could fill in a number for the admin and planning.
Yeah, I'll take a motion to approve that as written.
240,982. Is that correct?
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
240. Let's just make sure we say it right. 240,982.
I'll second
All
that.
right, I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the OCD admin at 240,982. Under discussion. Hearing and seeing none on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All in favor. Okay. Check that box. So there's that one. Home funds. All right. Last page. Holyoke's use of home funds. I don't really think we can do anything with this, Alicia, can we?
No, this will be part of the resolution that the city council adopts when they meet to accept the home funds.
Okay, so do we need to vote on this now?
Nope.
Oh.
It'll just be in the resolution to
Resolution,
accept.
yeah.
There you go. Alicia, I believe your part of the agenda is concluded. If I can only find my agenda.
I'm just gonna, while you all finish up, I'm just gonna take a moment and record the numbers that you have on a paper spreadsheet in case there's some network issue and all this goes awry tonight. So if you just bear with me.
All right. And I think the only thing we have left is item 4, because we've already voted on 2 and 3. So item 4 is just for potential meeting dates. We left 4/26 on there but I didn't really feel like that's going to be a next meeting, only because we put this one in lieu of it. But I don't really know what's in the jacket. I have not heard from the OPED director or anyone else. So I mean, I'm of the opinion we can just kind of march on to 5/24 unless we hear otherwise. Okay.
And by me.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, I think we just keep marching forward on that one. So 4/26 will kind of scratch that unless something else turns up that's imperative, and our next meeting will be 5/24, and the last meeting of the fiscal year will be 6/14. And I'm not even sure if we'll need the 6/14, but I'm sure we'll have some things on May 24th that are probably need to be addressed. Okay. Alicia, you all set?
I'm great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just take one more motion, and that should do it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made a second to adjourn meeting. Great job by everybody. I would suggest, thank you for everything. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya. See you tomorrow night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.